Howdy neighbors, it's Sako Tumi, also known as Cass Voit, and today we're going to talk about Vella. Okay, I have a bunch of awesome Vella writers with me. We're going to go clockwise around the room and introduce ourselves.
Am I clockwise?
Yes.
You are clockwise.
Okay. I always get them backwards. Hello, everybody. I'm Tiffany TRS on all the interwebs. I do have a Kindle Vella called Come Find Her. It is a paranormal mystery romance. It's vampires and kidnapping and a psychotic dude that I still have yet to fully introduce, so stay tuned. As well as I have a YouTube channel. Every Thursday we stream doing PJs and scribbles, so come in your PJs and hang out with us before you go to bed. And I have a Ko-fi page where you can join my book club and get behind the scenes extras for not only the Vella, but the upcoming prequel to the Vella.
Ooh.
So that is me.
And I am Mia, the Vixen of Fiction, here on YouTube. I'm also occasionally on Twitch and a lot on Instagram. I now do TikTok with Loki. We have fun. I stream at 7 p.m. on Tuesday nights, and I write in all kinds of things: historical fiction, sci-fi, fantasy, romance, and I love to genre hop and genre mix. I am currently working on a Vella, and it is a vampire mystery romance. It's a project that I had put out. If you were following my YouTube years and years ago, you got some of the good parts of it. So, because my channel used to put out like little short, I call them short stories, but it was basically snippets of bigger things. So doing the Vella is giving me a chance to finally go back to that story and put it all together from beginning to end. And it's part contemporary and part historical, because vampires sometimes live a long time.
Nice. Yeah, they do.
Hey everybody, I'm Sam. My YouTube channel is Writer Sam Wicker and pretty much most of my socials. And I do live streams every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I have a Vella. It went live. The first episode did on Wednesday, the 2nd. And it is a supernatural mystery kind of horror with a lot of comedy thrown in, and it's a side story to my big epic that I have yet to write. So my Vella is kind of a taste for what's to come, and that's all about me.
Ooh, that sounds very interesting. I am Esther Marie Andujar. I am a Puerto Rican writer aspiring to be a hybrid author, and I am a Kindle Vella author too. I have a paranormal very slow burn romance called Marina the Vampire. It is available on Ko-fi and Patreon too for anyone who is out of the US market or doesn't want to deal with Vella. You pick and choose. And apparently it's pretty bloody and there's a lot of dismembering.
Yay! I can totally get behind that. And I'm Sako Tumi, also known as Cass Voit. And I write horror, and I'm a witch, and I'm a graphic designer, and sometimes I combine those three things. In fact, my nano this year is to work on my Vella. I've got about 150 episodes, kind of like waiting to be written, and if I do 50 episodes this nano, then I'll be 200 that I'm just like waiting in the can to put it up on Vella. I want to try and get as much content as possible before I put it up on the site.
Yeah, don't be me or Tiffany.
Well, I have quite a bit. If I hadn't have let other people get in my head, I still would have been ahead. But
yeah, I would have been ahead if it wasn't for hurricane season, but a lot.
Yeah,
We
I
cannot
know
control
this
everything.
No.
Yeah, because you lost power. What was it? A week?
Yeah.
A week and a half?
A week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Puerto Rico got it rough.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just part of tropical life.
Yeah,
It
living
is.
on live on a beautiful island.
Yeah, that's the good part. I can see a palm tree just in the avenue. I don't have to go to the beach or anything like that.
Right.
I thought I would hit the comments a little bit. Hey Eva, totally here to talk about Vella, and hopefully we'll glean some wisdom upon you. This will be on in the background while I work on my eccentric characters for my upcoming story series. Still not titled. That is okay.
I like a
doing
good
it.
eccentric character.
Yeah. Sam doing double duty in the comments.
Yeah, I was like, hold on.
It's like Sam is also here.
Let's see. Cool Gamer hopped in to say hi. Hi, Cool Gamer. JC hopped in. Hello to everybody. Excuse my Discord. The Shadows Lair said hello. It's good to see you. Starting to become a regular. I enjoy that.
Nice.
Yay for dismemberment.
In our fiction.
Fictional.
Yeah, just fiction, please.
Yay, hello people. Let's see. My whip Project Lucky was originally outlined as a serial for Vella, but now I'm unsure which way I want to go with it. So my series started out as a 6-book series, and then I wrote a bunch of like short stories that were supposed to go in between the books to kind of like keep people interested. And then the way that Amazon kind of does things, I didn't really see this system working out. So I thought I would just like scrap it all. And then, because I write my chapters like short stories. So,
Okay.
and then all the short stories kind of add up to the big story. So I think it would take to Vella very easily.
Yeah.
Like 5,000 words here, 7,000 words there, 400 words there, you know, like I can kind of like pace it the way I want to.
Yeah. I gotta say, when I write my stories, a lot of times they like I said, I could take a whole chunk of it and put it, hi Morgan, could put it on YouTube and it would look like a short story because I write my chapters very episodic as well. So a lot of things that I write lend itself to that. My problem, that the only problem that I've had so far with the vampire one is shortening because I want to be consistent, only because when if I do get a reader following, I want them to know how many, because they have to spend coins on this. So I want them to go in knowing how many coins they're going to be spending if a new chapter comes out. So like I don't want to have one that's 6,000 and then one that's 1,000. So if they get used to having 1,000 word chapters and then I throw a 6,000 at them and they only
I don't want to do anything like that.
So I'm trying to keep them all right around the 2,000 mark. That way they know consistently this is how many coins it's going to cost them. So that's probably the hardest part, is knowing, because I write big chapters. So breaking up, I'm like, oh yeah, I have 8 chapters I think that are ready to go. No, I got to break those up. So it'll probably be triple that, but finding good breaks and then good continues, you know, to make each episode still feel like a full episode. Or probably when you start reading it, it'll feel more like 2 or 3 episodes would make one like mini arc.
Yeah,
that's pretty much how I write. I write about a 6,000 word episode when I do my writing. So the other thing, so when I wrote these, I originally had them up on YouTube before I took everything down and changed my title, my channel just for AutoTube. It was just short stories and random stuff. It was one of those random people make a YouTube channel and throw their stuff on there. Surprisingly got me about 2,000 subscribers though. So yay.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So just sometimes the random things, somebody likes it. But I had
2,000 people liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So initially I was gonna put these up on Wattpad because Wattpad is a place where you could write like your serialized stories and put it into like make it like a novel, and you know. So I was like, maybe Wattpad's a good place for it. And then people were stealing stuff off of Wattpad, and people were fine. So I was like, oh, maybe not. You know, I'll just keep them on YouTube. And then I took them down and literally been looking for a home for some of these stories and trying to figure out what I'm going to do with them. And I feel like this one might be, Vella might work for this one. If it works for this one, it might work for some of the other ones too.
Yeah.
People were stealing stories off of Wattpad?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was really bad there for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
for a
Pretty
minute.
much any website that houses a lot of fan fiction, that people take that and do whatever they want with it. It's just
Wow. I
stealing.
totally missed
is a
that.
lot.
I have a friend who like swears by Wattpad. She absolutely adores it, but I don't remember ever hearing about that. Wow, very interesting.
Yeah.
I think Webtoons even had a scare there for a little bit because I know they got hit really big with the whole Netflix show getting pulled one of their stories or something like that. And I think there was a bunch of people stealing other people's stories on it after that.
Which is why I never put my graphic novel or comics up on there, because I was like, oh, this is perfect place I could put my comic out in little, or the graphic novel out in little comic strips. And I was like, no, because it's just a lot of work. And I know people are like, well, no one's really going to steal it, they'll change it, or nothing's really original. But I'm like, yeah, I'm putting a lot of work into this. I don't want someone to just be able to take it and slap their name on it. And then do I hire lawyers? What do I do to have some type of recourse?
Right.
So,
having it uploaded, depending on where you upload it to, like I put my comic on Comic Fury, where it kind of archives for me and it auto posts for me, and I can add journals and have discussions and underneath my piece and stuff like that. And it also counts as proof that I was the first to put it out. Like there's a date mark on it. So if I were to take someone to court about it, I could use that as evidence.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
that is good to know.
All right. Well, we are almost 15 minutes into the stream. As awesome as it is to talk about Vella, I have a couple of questions I want to ask you guys after this sprint. So let's do, whoops, that one. Yeah. Let's do a sprint. And we can work on our projects in 3, 2, 1. Let's sprint. Okay, take a break. How's it going? How was that sprint for you? Tell us in the chat. Laura hopped in. Hi, Laura. How's it going? Deidre also hopped in. Hi, Deidre. Hope you feel better. Take care of yourself, honey.
Yes.
And I actually had a couple of questions.
If we're sharing word counts, I got 504 words on that 20.
Look at you!
Nice.
Nice. I did not get that many.
I left it in a really good part, so.
Oh, okay. So you can
I
pick it up.
edited for the most part because everything I wrote today, I wrote on my phone. And the fun part about having Scrivener on your phone is that you can write wherever you are. The bad point about having Scrivener on the phone is that it's this big.
Yeah.
And when it gets on an actual screen, you're like, oh, that's not how you spell last.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I have a conundrum because, okay, I have written up to episode 11.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 10 only has like 6 paragraphs, and I remember finishing episode 10, but I cannot find it.
Oh no.
So yeah, I spent the whole sprint looking for that.
I hate when that happens.
Is it possible you backed it up somewhere or you hand wrote it?
I have looked in every single notebook. I've looked on every single piece of paper. I've looked all through my Scrivener just to see if I added it to like another chapter somewhere.
Is it on Google Docs? Is it on your email? Because sometimes, since if I'm not writing on Google Docs, then I just open my email and start just brain dumping.
Yeah. I even opened up my Pro Writing Aid because it saves documents there, not there. Google Docs, not there. I looked through all the notes on my phone. Not at all.
The last time this happened to me, I don't know if this will help you, but because I'm a project hopper. So the last time, I don't know if you guys remember, I was on a stream and I'm like, I can't find this whole chapter I knew I wrote. I started writing it in the chapter of another project. So I literally had to think about what projects was I working on the last time I worked on that one. And then I found it. And then I found it. Remember, guys, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because like the heart attack I was going to have was like for real.
So that'll be my next dive.
It's like the last time I worked on it, I was also working on these things. Let's hope.
Yeah. Oh, that hurts. I hope you find it, Sam. I really hope.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal because each episode is only like 2,500 words.
But it's still.
But yeah, you've already done it.
My heart will hurt for you if you don't find it.
Yeah, it hurts.
Oh, I got 281 words. And then I also did some editing, just some. I like to go back to the first chapters. I feel like, especially when I haven't looked at it for a minute, like I catch little things and I'm like, oh, let me fix that. Let me fix that. So like I need eyes away because if I'm constantly looking at it, because I'm also slightly dyslexic, I will not see the errors because in my head, I know how it's already supposed to go. So
yeah, exactly. That's why my fourth draft always goes to an editor because I'll be so inundated with it that I won't be able to see what's wrong with it anymore.
Yep. Because you're reading it, you know what it's supposed to say, so you'll glance right over those little errors.
That's why I do the read along on Word document. I just let Word document to read it, and then it just something pops, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't sound right.
It is scary sometimes. I'm like, oh gosh, let me fix that. Sometimes I can't fix them fast enough as my Siri guy is reading it. I'm like, slow down, Siri guy. There's a lot of errors here.
Real quick, Jennifer's question, I don't know if this helps you. I had a character one time. I don't remember what his original name was supposed to be. It was something like Dixon or Devin or something like that. But the reason I named him that was because his nickname was Diz after Dizzy Gillespie. So I don't know if that could work for you for your character, but that, you know, if he's an old blues player, I could see somebody nicknaming him them something like Diz.
Yeah.
And
A
then
lot
the
of them
name
had,
was just something that flowed kind of similar to that.
yeah, a lot of them had a nickname that kind of sounded either fun or musical that was an offset of whatever their real name or their real nickname was.
Yeah.
So
I'm not well versed with blues players, so I'm not gonna be help with that.
Sparky, I don't.
Like,
I have a family member who absolutely loved Dizzy Gillespie, so that was why that popped in my head to do that. So
Right on.
how do you
All
do
right,
that?
so I am making all my content before I get on the system, right? Not all my content, but a good portion of it, especially since I lost 3 books in a hard drive crash last year. So, yeah.
That makes me want to cry.
Mhm. I have to write them all over again. So,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm writing the 4th book in the series, this Nano, because it's content that I haven't written before. It's a whole new book.
anyone that is mentioned, please.
yeah, do we have
Hey,
somebody for
anybody
the
who's
bot?
rented, please
Yeah.
handle the Girls 18 Online
Yeah.
bot.
yeah.
Because I'm not wrench, so people with power.
People
Yes.
with power.
That really sucks to
Oh,
lose 3 books.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm
so is
someone who
one,
really doesn't
let
sleep.
alone.
I mean, I may have just a drink to have like a sad party for me, but
Oh,
that's not.
Okay, I made a couple of people. I threw some wrenches. Looking for Esther. There we are.
No.
yeah.
You could have just
Throwing a
told me-
wrench at you, ka-chunk.
Yeah, I like to keep a lot of my trusted people wrenched because the hot girls just want to be a part of the stream so bad.
Oh yeah.
I know.
Then they should make their own.
Oh, they do. Oh, they do. It's just behind the paywall.
I know, but you know.
Okay,
They should stick to
so
their own then.
Yeah.
yes, they just try to get people to come. I mean, to like sign up.
It
for
works.
the show.
It works.
Oh,
It works.
We're not your target market.
foot
I
in
mean,
mouth
I'm
disease.
sorry.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
that's great. Okay, we have another minute before the timer for the chat is over, but I do want to kind of get into what the symbolism on Vella actually means, like the crowns and the crowns and coins and all of those like crazy things. What do the signage mean for those who have been on the site before?
Well, the crowns are something that your readers can give you every time you, or you can give it to yourself. If you unlock an episode, you get 1 crown. Or if you, I think it's unlock 1 episode every week, you get a crown that you can share.
Okay.
And it will come up like with all of the people that you're following, the stories you're following, and you can pick what story you would like to give it to. Now I don't know how many crowns you have to have in order for it to show up on your picture, but
sorry.
And then the coins is how people pay. And I believe it is every, and
I'm gonna
go
pass
with
this.
me, Esther, because you may know this better. Is it like every 100 words, or is it every 1,000 words is one coin?
The coins every 100 words.
Every 100 words. That's it. So if you have like 1,400 word piece, then it's like 14 coins. If
Mhm.
you have and you get a percentage of the coins. Now that's the part that's a little
So the
wibbly.
percentage they give you the percentage out of the package that the person bought the coins of. So
And for some reason, if they buy a smaller package, it seems like you get more of the percentage than if they buy a larger package of
yeah,
coins.
because technically a larger package is a like a discount for the
Yeah.
person who buys the coins.
Oh,
And then they're still rolling out the bonuses. They kind of like stopped saying. I mean, I don't pay much attention to the bonus, so I don't know if they're really rolling out like listing what are the bonuses, but they're still giving them.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if they tell everybody at the beginning, but they do. You know, I think when it first started, like Amazon would post, oh, we have, you know, $130,000 worth of bonuses to divide. And then they would divide it between people.
Mhm.
Now I think that they just
Now they're
show
just
up
rolling it. Yeah,
on your reader page
yeah.
as what your bonus
They
is.
do send me emails. I've been getting emails whenever I
Oh,
have received my bonus. Like they're
Oh.
telling me you have received your this month bonus. You can go to your Kindle Vella report to see how much it is. And
I
Oh.
have not paid attention to that, but I might have to go look. Figure
yeah,
out.
that's how I know I get bonus because they let me know. They send me an email.
Mhm.
Neat. Do we feel like another sprint? Is that a thing that we want to do, or do we want to chat some more?
I mean,
Yes.
then you said you
Right.
have questions either way.
Yeah, if you have more questions.
Um, I'm sure I do. How do you find your readers, or how do readers find you? Like,
Oh, Tiffany's
because
the
I
queen for
know
this.
Kindle doesn't like advertise Vella
No, they don't.
content like at all, right? So it's
Say I'm
completely
really great at
contingent
this.
on
I
us
don't know if
marketing
I'm all
ourselves.
as great as you're thinking. Um,
Well, I don't do even a quarter of what you do. And I mean, it shows on my readership, but then again, I am not putting all of my eggs on Vella, so
right.
I had to like spread my
I
marketing efforts.
Yeah.
You know, I have kind of backed off a little bit just to see. I'm testing a bunch of stuff to
Yeah.
see. When I first got on the site, I went very hard in the Facebook Vella group. There's a number of groups that you can join. Some of them are read for read, which technically they're not supposed to be, so they don't say they're read for read. They're like, if you would like to read my story, that would be
Here it
great.
is. Yeah.
But I did go a little hard on those, and I still, you know, I will if I feel like I need to get, you know, a few extra reads in for the month, or if I'm close to my my goal that I want, I will go in there. I have been playing around with TikTok. I've gotten a number of views, but I'm not positive that they've translated to read.
Mm.
As well as I have a reel that the other day I looked up and it's gotten like 15,000 views on
Oh
Instagram.
wow.
Wow.
I did not even pay attention to that. Like I looked one week and it was just like, oh, it's got 100 views, and I was like, oh, it didn't do as good as the other one that I did, and I just went on, and then I think I clicked the wrong button yesterday and was like, oh, whoa, where'd all these come from?
Mhm.
So, but again, I'm not positive it's translated to views. I mention it all the time on whatever streams that I'm in, and then my email list, I sent it to them. I did an ad on Facebook and Instagram that I think did give me some reads, but I'm not
Not
positive
enough,
it gave
in
me
my
a
opinion.
ton.
Yeah.
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 I almost felt like I would do better. I mean, like time-wise, it was faster than going into like 7 different Vella groups and like going through and be like, hey, could you check out my Kindle Vella? Hey, have you looked at my Kindle Vella? Oh, look, there's a new episode on my Kindle Vella. So it was less time. I had to do one thing and we're done. But I did get more read doing this.
How often do you post?
I was
Is
posting
it like a
almost
weekly thing?
I was posting almost every day when I first started.
Oh wow.
And now or at least every other day. But that first, I think, when did I publish? I think my first story I published.
You started in June,
yeah,
I think.
No, it was July. Because
July?
I remember it was after the AWC.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say I published it like July 26th or something like that. And it was either every day or every other day. But I had almost 160 something reads by the end of the month because I was in there all the time, just like, hey, have you checked out my Vella? New episode. Go read, go read, go read. And then I was still doing it pretty good in August, and then I ran into a couple of people who kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I backed off a little bit. And so I still will go in there. I go in more now, more so than the Kindle Vella stories, which generate a lot of writers and not as much like readers. And now I go more into like the Kindle Vella paranormal readers group or the Kindle Vella horror reader group, the Kindle Vella read group where they're like looking for recommendations, and I'll put it there. And then I've also, I think, had some pretty good luck, although I don't know about Twitter anymore.
I don't know about Twitter anymore.
Yeah. But the writers list I have gotten, and they're like self promo Sundays and things like that. I've gotten some kind of good feedback and things from that.
Cool.
Yeah, I post weekly from the get-go. I know a lot of people post the first 3 very quickly because those are the free ones, but I'm like, I just want to set the expectations because I know I don't have control of my time. Again, it was in the middle of hurricane season. I don't want to risk it, so from the get-go, it was just once a week. Fridays on Vella, Wednesdays on Ko-fi and Patreon. So if you're subscribed to Patreon and Ko-fi, which is going to be a little bit more than Vella, because that's what Amazon stipulates, at least you're going to get it before, and you have access to my playlist, you have access to my Pinterest, I share cutscenes, they're going to get bonus scenes, things like that. So I do that. I usually just, whenever I feel like it, I share snippets on Instagram Reels. Sometimes I do Reels with like pretty popular music or something that has the vibe of the story. And I just do the normal, hey, new episode post, and that's it. I don't really put a lot of marketing effort in it because I don't know, I enjoy it because I am still a fanfic writer, so serialized writing, it's kind of like
just
normal.
natural for you, right?
Yeah.
But the story lends itself for it, but I know once it's done, I'm gonna take it out to then revise it for a book. So I know the bulk.
From what I understand, according to Kindle's FAQ, is that you can actually have both. You can
do that if Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be exclusive to Kindle Unlimited. I'm like, I'm going to be exclusive to Vella because it has the caveat that I can put it on a paywall too. But once it's translated into a book, that's going to be a wide distribution too.
You're going to go wide with it. Okay.
Yeah, because I feel once it is revised, because I tell people this is kind of like the first draft version of it. So once it is revised and turned into a book, that's where I think is gonna actually make a good amount of money. Even though I do make money from Kindle Vella, don't get me wrong, I do more than I expect.
I was gonna, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but Deidre mentioned that the royalties for her has only been $1. What kind of royalties do you tend to get when you publish, when you're actually publishing content?
The royalties have not been the greatest.
Yeah.
It is more the bonuses
bonus
that have really made it worth it. I don't know if we just got in at a really great time, and I'm kind of speaking for Esther, but I don't know what Esther's bonuses have been. But mine have been fairly more than I expected.
Yeah, I am not gonna go full disclosure and say the entire amount, but I will say just so I started posting on July 29. This week I think episode 15 is out, and I'm pretty sure between all the bonuses so far I'm already past $100 in just bonuses, because royalties are like
pennies to the dollar.
Yeah, it's I don't even look at it. I just like, this is the amount you're gonna send me whenever you want to send me. That's it. I'm just not gonna sweat the rest because it's not a lot per episode.
But there are some people, because one of the groups that I'm in is it's a brag group. Like, they don't let you post your stories for people to read. It's just for people to get encouragement. And kind of like, look at what I did, it's so amazing. And so they do normally post like royalties are out, how bad, or how'd you do, good, up or down, whatever it is. And there are some people on there that are making like 4 figures on some of their bonuses. Now, granted, I think some of these people have 4 or 5 different stories that are on there.
More and probably they have over 50 episodes.
But to the marketing point as well, there's also a girl that's in that group who I want to say she's been on there for like a month, maybe a month and a half. She's been doing TikTok, and like a couple of her TikToks went viral, and she's got 4,000 reads.
Wow!
Nice.
on her Kindle Vella, and it's crazy to see. It's insane.
That's nice.
So yeah,
cross marketing has its benefits.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if when you do your reports and you look at your reports, do you see a drop off of readers after those first 3 episodes, or have they held pretty steady?
I see a drop off.
Okay.
But it's a drop off. I don't know how you've seen it, Esther. I've noticed, like I just posted an episode a couple of weeks ago, and it maybe has like 5 or 6 reads. But I may come back at the end of November, and now it has like 15 or 20, and it's more comparable with, say, like episode 6. You know what I mean? So it's like, it feels like it's a drop off when you first look at it, but the same with kind of like your YouTube videos. You post it and you have like so many views, and then all of a sudden you come back and you're like, oh, look, I have like 100 and something more, or something like that. It's kind of the same principle of it kind of building on where you're at, but I don't think anything tops those first 3.
Yeah. Mine, I think my first episode gets the most reads, partially because it is the first episode. It is the shortest. It is the bloodiest out of all of them, and I think that kind of drew a lot of people. And I don't keep that bloodiness on the rest of the episode because it's not supposed to be a horror. So I think that's where a lot of my readership might drop, because my first episode might give you a wrong expectation. But I didn't.
People.
Yeah, it's like she's covered in blood, like it's bloody.
Mhm.
But again, it's like I don't want to like tame it back, because when the moments that further on she goes kind of crazy, it's gonna throw people out of loop because there was nothing before. And I'm like, I'd rather bring her craziness full forward and people decide if they want to keep reading or not, than just really curveball it to a readership and be like, whoa, we didn't sign up for a horror.
Do you actually, that's a really good point. Do you have trigger warnings or like a statement of like an artist statement or writer's statement, I guess? Like before they read into the story, or like
I
do you
don't.
just throw up
I don't.
episodes and there's no
I
teaser
yeah.
for it?
I don't.
Yeah, mine's not quite. I mean, my person gets kidnapped, but it's not quite decapitation. But
I mean, my cover, it's I mean,
it
my
is the
cover
woman
has
like
blood
covered in
in
blood
it.
with like a
It
knife.
has blood.
It's like cover wise, first episode wise, you know this is not gonna be your sweet vampire human romance.
But
Yeah.
they do give you, and again, it's almost like, when you go to publish like a regular book on Kindle, where you can, give like a synopsis. It's
Yeah.
not as huge as
No, it's
the
just
one that you would
200.
get for a regular book.
Is it 200 words or 200 characters?
I think it's 200 characters or
Which is-
250 characters, something
which
like
is
that.
very little.
Write that
Yeah.
bad boy out.
Oh,
Very
okay.
little.
If you wanted to put a trigger warning, or if you felt like it was needed, I think I have read a couple where at the bottom it'll say trigger, family abuse or something like that. So you can always add that if you want to, but I don't think either of our stories are at a point where we would need a trigger warning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you only have so many characters, I know I used every single character of mine
Every
to
single
get,
character.
and I'm like, I don't have space for a trigger warning, but I made sure that my characters on my Vella image, they look kind of sexy, and there is blood on it, so some expectation going in that what you see a little bit is kind of what you're gonna get,
Mhm.
and hopefully that'll be enough. Enough.
Hopefully.
I mean, yeah, it's vampires, so there is some, some things that happen. Do I have? Yeah, there will be some body dismemberment, that kind of. But I don't want to waste a word either of their coins.
Yeah.
I mean, do they want that? Like as you're coming into the chapter, to waste a couple of words? Do they mind? Like I paid for that one.
Yeah, what I would recommend is to do it on the author's note of the previous episode.
So next episode,
because Deidre has that here on her.
So
she said
next
before
time
diving
on
into
Dragon
her,
Ball Z,
Schmexy
yeah,
she wrote in the author note in the previous chapter that it's about to get spicy.
Yeah.
Oh.
And even if you already post the episode, you can go in and change. And actually, the turnaround of them reviewing and publish it is a lot quicker than the first review episode thing.
And the author notes are, I think I've probably maybe connected with more people through the author notes. Because I do always keep like my I'm TL Russ Lifestyle pretty much everywhere, and so I always put at TL Russ Lifestyle there, for people to connect. But I've done this weird thing that if I thought about it when I first started, because in my head I didn't think 30 something chapters or episodes. I do fun facts about myself that relate to the episode.
Sure.
Again, didn't realize that I have to come up with 30 something facts about me. I'm like, I'm not that interesting. Like I'm at episode 16. I'm like, I don't know. What else can I tell you? But I also will use, because you can do, that's how I figured out when to post. When I got to where I was going to post consistently one time a week, I did a poll because you can do polls, and I was like, when would you guys like me to post? And I gave like Sunday, Friday, Thursday, whatever it was, and like the readers chose Sunday, and so that's why I post on Sunday. I did the same one. I was like, how do you guys want to be known? Like, do you want to be my lovies? Do you want to be my gems? Because these are terms that my characters use in the story. And so they all came back and chose that. So I've used the Arthur notes and the polls to kind of connect.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
It's pretty neat.
That is neat. Yeah, I was wondering if there was like a way of like talking to your readership without having to put it into the episode. You know what I mean? Like it can kind of like exist outside of that. Kind of like how we have the community tab now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice if you could do it like you could do the Arthur notes per episode, but like they can't review per episode. They could just review it on a whole. And so that would be nice if you kind of get a gauge per episode of them, like what they're feeling. Because I know a lot of fan fiction sites allow that, and that's one of the things I do kind of miss a little bit with Vella.
Yeah, that's what I like, having it on Coffee and Patreon. I don't have I don't have a lot of members. I have members. And they heart the chapter. A lot of them leave a comment. They're like, "Ooh, this was unexpected," or "What the heck just happened here?" and things like that. It's just like, I wish Vella will. I mean, having comments on Vella might be kind of tricky because Amazon is not the best at like kind of like what is the word? Monitoring their thing.
Oh, yeah.
So that could
They're not going to police for you.
Yeah, that could be pretty hard for the author. But again, coming from fan fiction, people who leave you comments definitely keeps you motivated. Right, especially if you know this is gonna be like a 50, 100, 200 episode kind of story.
I know when I post mine, what I plan to do was put the first 5 out there, because what I'm hoping is that they'll get the first 3 free, and then by having 4 and 5 out there and ready to go, I can kind of gauge how many of these people am I actually retaining, like who wants to right away, read through or while it's fresh on their memory. Because one of the things I worry about is with so many stories out there, that it'll get just forgotten. They got their first 3 and then they'll forget, like, what was that story? Oh, well,
I
or something like that.
Something, I guess, kind of similar. When I first published mine, I did the first 4 because I wanted to see who was going to at least invest some coins. And then I kind of worked it, I think on all of my socials and different stuff, I was like, it's release week. So, be sure to check back because there's extra episodes coming. And until I got to, I want to say like 6. And then I started doing it once a week. But I did almost every other day, every third day, something like that. And built it like it would, not like here you should expect me to do this all the time, but like, oh look, it's release week, so it's like really a big deal. That's why I'm doing so many right now. Kind of conversation than necessarily I'm gonna release this many every week, because I'm not.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And so with the commenting, they can comment only one time or review only one time. So no matter how many they read, if they only if you only have one posted, then whatever they say is based off of just that first chapter or that post.
Yeah, technically, because they don't have a comment section. You can leave a review, and that's gonna be it. That's gonna be like they're reviewing it as a book. It's gonna show you on your author page in Amazon. But yeah, it's not. It doesn't have the comment feature like if you say you put it on Patreon.
They can
or
give
off.
a episode a thumbs up.
Yeah.
And you
They can
always want to
thumb it
get them to give it a thumbs up. The more
Yeah.
thumbs up you have,
It tells the
does kind of help
algorithm.
your rating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you look at because you can choose up to, I think it's 6 or is it 7, Esther? Different like whether it's a romance, whether it's a mystery, whether it's a like genres, I guess you could say.
I rate that the thumbs amount. I don't really
Yeah,
know.
it's like 6 or 7.
I've got
But
7.
the thumbs up kind of help you. The thumbs up and the reads help you in that rating of where you land. You know, whether
I should
it's
be
like a
taking
slow
notes.
burn or all the different things that you could choose.
So
You can watch the replay.
One question I did have, because I heard that there was some hubbub about this when Amazon opened up everybody's Vellas to be read. Was that beneficial to you as in getting readers, and also was it beneficial? Do you guys get paid for everybody being able to have access now to your entire story without?
Are you talking about when they did the free week?
When they did the free week, how did that work out for you
You
guys?
do get paid.
From what I heard is that they didn't really tell you guys or ask you guys. It kind of was just like, this is happening.
Yeah, I mean, the email I got was like 2 days before it ended. They were like, "Hey, it's free, whatever." And I'm like, "Oh."
I just happened to look
great.
on the thing and was like, "Oh, look, I have
I'm like,
1,000 reads. What's going on?"
Yeah, I know. But I think they do pay you. I think it's just
from what
based
I
on the
understand,
smallest.
you're gonna get paid as if it were a opened, or as if it like if they read the 3, but then read the other ones. I think it's like as if those other ones were like opened, and then
Open
the
with
3
coins.
is if it's like free.
Yeah.
So it would be like the regular one. It just doesn't show up in your reads when you look on your thing as like read and then paid open. It just shows free.
Yeah.
So it makes your paid look kind of weird, because I think I end up with a little over 300 for the month, and then it looked like I only had 15 that were open.
Yeah, it's strange. I'm like, I when that rolled out, I'm like, I'm not even gonna look at the reports. It's just like, because that's gonna mess it up.
Yeah. Because I heard that just some people weren't happy just because they didn't know what was going to happen. It wasn't explained to them, like if you put your work up and you're thinking it's behind a paywall and then it's not. I think that expectation of like, we weren't warned and we wanted to know, we would like to know ahead of time, how are we going to be paid for this work that we did? So that was a little nerve-wracking, but I'm glad to hear that people got paid, but I feel like they should really.
It's just not explain how you're gonna get paid. As for Dira, I personally can attest to this. I am in Puerto Rico, which is a U.S. territory, but I myself cannot buy coins and read Kindle Vella, even though I publish on Kindle Vella.
Because you're not stateside.
Because I'm not stateside. But the funny thing is, like, I have Kindle Unlimited subscription. The only thing I needed to do is like switch my country, but it doesn't work that way with Kindle Vella. And I'm like, but my IP address is not even in Puerto Rico either. So how are you not letting me buy coins when any way that you're getting my information is coming from stateside information? So I really don't know how Kindle Vella does their market for readers.
Yeah.
That's the main reason I did Coffee and Patreon, because I was like, if people outside of the US market wants to read it, they should have an option. Anyone who's fed up with Amazon should have an option too.
Yeah.
That's why I have, I plan on doing Patreon. Right now I just have it on Ko-fi, but I did it the same way. Was for if people were outside of the US and wanted to read.
Yep. I'm putting mine up on Ko-fi as well, with all of my things that I'm making to go along with it.
Yeah. So Deidre, if you have a lot of people who already reach out to you because they cannot read your Kindle Vella, maybe do a poll on your social media and see if they prefer Coffee or Patreon. If you don't want to do both, and go from there. Because again, you can do it as long as the membership for it's higher, which anything is higher than Kindle Vella.
Yeah, it has to be the first. I think you can do, I want to say, up to 5,000 words or 3,000 words.
I think it's 5,000 words for free.
For free. And then anything after that needs to be behind a paywall.
Yeah. I put it all behind a paywall, and I'm just like, you can just, towards the end of this
it was too hard
week,
to try to figure that out.
Yeah,
I was like, what if it's in the middle of an episode?
Yeah. I was just like, nah, everything behind a paywall, and then probably I'm taking a break during like Christmas and like that, and I'm like, that's when I'm just gonna be like, hey, do you want to read the entire like quote unquote first season? Just get 1 month membership on Coffee and Patreon. You can read it all.
Yep. I'm gonna put my first episode up on my Ko-fi for anyone to read, and then everything else is going, because I already know it's going to be right at 2,000 words, I believe.
Yeah.
But and then everything else is going to be behind the paywall.
I got you.
That's also why I'm writing the prequel to my Kindle Vella, is because I want to use it as a lead magnet to not only get people into the Kindle Vella, but also get them on my newsletter list.
Mm-hmm. Are you making it as a freebie on your newsletter?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay.
And because there's some people in some of the groups that they talk about, they've used Story Origin as well as Book Funnel to drive some people to their Kindle Vellas. And right now I don't have anything that I could really put up there that I would feel like, I have stuff I've written, but I don't feel like it's either that type of story or would really drive people to it. But this, because it's specifically Kindle Vella and it's kind of the origin story of my lead guy they own a vampire detective agency. And so this is kind of the origin of the detective agency, if you will.
That kind of gives me an idea to kind of like a side story for Marina's oldest daughter, like the oldest one that she has sired. Because she's like, her daughter is like an interesting character. I mean, she's the one running the manor that was used to be Marina's. She left it to her.
That's how this was a backstory of one of the side characters. Yeah. And I was like, ooh, I could turn it into the origin story. And I kind of talked it out with some friends and was like, hey, this is what we're doing.
Yeah. And I mean, she knew Marina's soulmate. She has her significant other is a witch. So I think they are an interesting pair that I can think about. But that's future me problem.
That's a future you problem. Yeah. I got you. I was gonna wonder. I'm also kind of wondering, like, where are your roots? Like, Esther, I kind of got the impression that you come from fanfic chops, especially with your vampire story. I've read a lot of vampire fiction, and actually Laura Nettles is her nano project. One of her nano projects this year is that vampire.
She has spent way too much time with me and Tiffany, and we kind of like,
that was so not her.
Yeah, that was
nano project originally.
No,
she started pantsing it, and it turned out she really loved it.
It's so great.
I get a message like very early, 6 a.m., and she's like, "Can I send you?" And she's like, "Can I send you something?" And I was awake at that time. I don't know why. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Here's my email. And when I open it, I was like, yes, yes, yes.
See, I just got a file on Instagram, and she's like, I did something. And I was like,
yeah, she literally messaged me as soon as she finished it, like finished that portion, and she's like, I did a thing. Can I get your email and send it to you, and you can, give me your thoughts? I wasn't even halfway through, and I'm like, yes, 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 yes,
keep
whatever,
going.
yes.
I need to know more.
100% yes.
We're this archive of our own, or should be published already?
I know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As far as origins, mine is if we're gonna go all the way back, it's poetry and journalism.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That's kind of, I started writing poems when I was little and like short stories, and then when I went to college, it was for journalism and kind of morphed into English. And did that for quite some time, and then got into photography, and so that's a whole nother can of worms. And I actually ended up getting back into writing because of fan fiction, which then led to doing Nano. And like I was telling them, I think this is my 15th year doing Nano. So that's been kind of my origin of writing.
I think I started in 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
But I also have fan fiction chops, which is why everything is a short story. I have role-playing chops. I've been role-playing since I was 7 years old, so collaborative storytelling, I'm particularly good at that.
I do have fan fiction experience, and I still write it. I think I started back in 8th grade, if I remember correctly, by my uniform. I had a Pocahontas notebook, and I was writing a story, and every time I finish a chapter, my friends will literally take the notebook and they will pass it along. Till this day, I don't know who was reading it. I just know who took it first and who will give me the notebook back. And that's how I first wrote my first story. I handwritten every chapter. They will pass it along and read it, however many people read it, and then I will get it back, write the next chapter, and so on and so forth until I finished it. So that is kind of like my first experience writing, kind of serialized, kind of like know that your work is being written and read. It was like, till this day, some of my friends were like, I remember the Pocahontas note, but I'm like, yeah, I remember too. I don't know where it is, but
I had a sketchbook called The Book.
Yeah.
And it had all the pinup and all the, not safe for work pictures of like Gambit and Rogue and
nice.
Psylocke and Archangel, and it just kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a big X-Men fan.
Oh, I love X-Men. My beginnings were very similar to Esther's. I would draw little pictures and write little short stories. I had a notebook. I had a lot of friends. This was middle school. By the time I got to high school, I was told pretty much to cut it out, get serious. You're college bound, and not for that. So I put it away for years and years and years. Then I had kids, started telling them short stories. My husband also had short stories, which I'm trying to convince him to write his children's books. One day he might. But I started just telling my stories, got my daughter into telling stories. We started posting them on YouTube and just little snippets of them. And so and then I did all the other things, raised 4 kids, and I've got my last one is about to get out the house, and I'm like, what do I do now? I can't be a fitness instructor forever because this body is saying no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The body is tired.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this other thing that I love to do, but I was told not to, is what I really want to do and what I've always wanted to do. Because obviously, once I had kids, it's the first thing I started doing was crafting and drawing pictures, and writing stories for them, and just telling them stories and writing songs and singing songs to them. So it's immediately that is what I reverted back to as soon as I had kids. But I never thought about it in a professional way. It was just for fun for them. And now they're like, please tell your stories.
See, no one told me to stop writing. I just got way too busy in high school because I was singing, I was playing the trombone, I was doing pantomime, I was in the honor society. I was doing way too many things. Like I will have my uniform from like 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. with all the things that I've been doing. And so I went back writing when I was in college because I got into K-dramas and K-pop, and I found the world of fan fiction. And I'm like, well, this is awesome. I have something to read. And then friends from the internet were like, have you done writing? I'm like, I haven't written anything since middle school. Like, and I was writing in Spanish, not English. They're like, well, you can practice English by writing. And I'm like, sure, I'll give it a try. I'm still apparently giving it a try.
Apparently you're still trying. All right.
So my origins is back in 5th grade, I think, right before middle school. I started reading romances.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
So I started writing my own romances because they were too kissy lovey.
Yeah. You wanted that angst.
Right. And I wanted more horses and farm life and, things I knew. So that was my origins. And then kind of in college, I moved into fanfic and role-playing games on, I'm going to tell my age here, but LiveJournal and Greatest Journal and Insane
I'm a
Journal.
LiveJournal person. Yes. Mine is still active.
Yes. Mine's a little bit active just because I want to keep the stuff that's on there just in case my backups, like, you know how backups go. But
but our Russians own it now.
Yeah. I'm backing it up on AO3 because I was like, the moment the Russians took it, I'm like, I'm gonna back this up.
Yeah.
All my stuff was on fanfiction.net instead of AO3, so I backed all of it up, and then I think I ported it over to Greatest Journal, and it's somewhere. But that's kind of my origin story. It's always been vampires and werewolves and things like that.
Paranormal.
Didn't find out about fan fiction until AuthorTube.
Oh, I mean, you can still get. There's no age.
There's no age limit on fan fiction. No. That's true.
Yeah, I think I first
Granted, most of us got into it in middle school, but
I didn't get into fan fiction, but I did find out about it through Vampire Diaries and Smallville. And I always said if I did fan fiction, it would probably be for one of either Smallville superheroes or vampires.
I started with a Chinese drama, and then I gravitated to K-pop artists because it was just, for me, it was easier to just cast people and write whatever I wanted. Keep in mind, I don't for fan fiction, I don't write like really spicy things because I'm like, the real people, they have access to the internet. They might not know me, but I don't want them to feel like very uncomfortable. they also don't have time to get into it, but whatever. It's just peace of mind. But yeah, it was, to me, it was just a lot easier to just cast celebrities
I
than get
wouldn't
into like
say-
a book fandom.
Yeah, I got you. My fandom was X-Men, and my the X-Men fanfics that came out in the 90s were like, wow.
Yeah.
Especially
I
when I
could
was
see,
like in
I
high
could
school.
see, I could see that. I did love that 90s X-Men was
And
excellent.
90s X-Men. Yep.
Mm-mm-mm.
I want to say something to do with Harbinger.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Like,
Although I do like the Brimstone one.
yeah,
That Sam
Brimstone
put in there.
knowledge,
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Sinful Library.
Blaze.
Beelzebub's books.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Nice.
Beelzebub's books.
Let's see.
You could go biblical, like
Holy Bible and other books. Eva.
that wasn't what I was thinking, but I was like, the Library of Good and Evil.
Oh, the Library of Good
Because like
Oh.
the knowledge of good, or the
Mhm.
tree of knowledge of good and evil, or something like that. So you could
Yeah.
do something like that, maybe.
Ava! Not on Vella, but you're popping in to hit the like. Well, that's okay because we are bestowing the knowledge onto the populace. Hell is biblical. It still
Yeah.
counts.
Yeah.
Ava!
Maybe you could go Hell's
book
Bells.
here.
I don't know.
Call it like hella books here, like lots of books here.
I mean, if you want to go for something chicky, you can be like Lucifer's Crib.
Oh.
That would be just chicky, kind of like funny.
Or Eve's
I
apple
suppose
book.
it depends on what the tone of the story is,
story.
right? So far, the tone is like dark with
Dark
prose
smack-
sprinkled in, you know. So
Well,
Yeah, it's
I mean,
kinda
she
like-
did say it's a dark vampire romance,
Mhm.
but she
Oh,
also has,
Firebound
you know, a
Archives,
demon named
that's what's
Victor. I feel like you could get away with a lot.
Oh, the demons that I write are always kind of tongue in cheek anyway. So
Yeah.
Right.
I love writing demons.
I mean,
They're so much
honestly, a lot of these characters who are like very old, they are either so broody and so angsty and so like sour, or they are like so sardonic, cheeky. Everything is a joke. It's like blah blah blah, joke joke joke. I haven't seen and like haven't read any character that old that is not either or. And I think it's just age.
Yeah.
Push you to one of those extremes.
They don't care anymore. They've seen it all.
Yeah.
In
Fandoms
my
now are
story,
weird.
vampires, if they live too long, they get bored, and that's when they start doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
That becomes kind of like the crazy things.
Yeah.
That like, you know, makes people carve folks into Greek letters.
Purgatory.
Yes.
Oh,
that
yeah.
one.
I
That
mean,
one's
but technically, the purgatory, it's not in hell per se, unless you want to put the library in the purgatory, kind of like the in between.
it's on the ladder up to purgatory.
It's like the last stop before you either go down to hell or you're stuck in purgatory.
That way you can read your book of sins.
Yeah.
Waka. So, what kind of genres work out really well on Vella? is romance. I mean, romance is always going to succeed no matter where it goes,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But what about us horror people? You know, what about I'm thinking like the paranormal mystery
I think
thriller.
fantasy. I think any
Fantasy is next. If I
umbrella in the fantasy
Yeah.
works pretty well. I think mostly because it lends to a lot of episodes.
Okay.
And I
What
think it depends on how you market it. Like,
Mm.
okay, Esther and I did a Vella live stream before we both got on there. And one of the authors that we had on is someone named Callie Chase. And I've read her story, Bug. Some people might consider it horror, some people might consider it paranormal, and some people might consider it sci-fi.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
it just depends on how you market it. And I believe she has it marketed as like paranormal horror somewhere in there. But like when I was saying there's like 7 genres that you can pick, those are hugely important. Like you want to look at, like I watched a YouTube video and they were saying you want to think about what your story, like what elements your story has, and then try to look through all the ones that are similar to it and see where your story might fit in, and which one works the best. And then those are the ones that you put it into, than necessarily like just kind of haphazardly going, it feels like it's a mystery. But like looking at, like mine is mystery, but I have it as paranormal mystery. Type of thing, because I felt like it had enough paranormal elements, and mystery was like, like 1,001 books in there, or stories. But paranormal mystery, I felt like I could grab a few extra readers that maybe wouldn't think, to just look mystery.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right now, I'm labeling mine as a paranormal romance, and I know that romance is what. Last time I looked at the chart, romance is still way up at the top before the next ones. But like fantasy and stuff like that, they do well. So I know that paranormal romance is going to be the main two. Has anybody looked into getting their stories into multiple categories? Does that only work with Kindle, or is that also for Kindle Vella?
So Kindle Vella gives you 2 categories, your primary one and your secondary. And then you have 7 tags that you can use.
The tags.
For Kindle per se, they have recently changed it. You can have 10 categories, but you're only gonna rank in 3 categories.
I didn't know that one. Okay.
Yeah, they recently changed that, and that is messing up with a lot of people rankings, because they are
They didn't
now
want one book. They didn't want one book to be ranked like if
ranking on multiple categories.
If you have one very popular book, then it takes the number 1 spot in everything that it.
And that really buries a lot of books that could be ranking in like a very niche category, but they're not, because they are being piled up on the biggest categories, and they're getting buried. Amazon sometimes does things that you're like, what?
Yeah.
What?
I got you. Well, Laura is looking at the Brimstone Archive of Forbidden Tomes.
Ooh.
Okay.
Fact.
That.
That's what Eva said, is fact.
Athenaeum?
Athenium.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Speaking of, Taylor Swift took all the spots on the top 10. Because of that, it's the first time ever there's not been a man at the top 10 for musical hits. Oh.
Good.
You take, just,
Good.
That means they'll just come up with some way to,
make that
women.
They're gonna give it a couple of years, and that's gonna be even harder.
Yep.
Like, hey, we're making this change. I'm like, we wonder why.
Now, one of the things that they did just recently change, but I have still in some of the groups heard a few people having issues with, is that you could for a while return Kindle Vellas. Like you could
You
read
can.
them and then
Oh
return them.
yeah.
And
I
so
agree.
people were like, what was it? One person said that someone read 50 of their stories and then returned them and was like, and then left a comment with a 1-star review. Vella just isn't for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, really? 50
And
episodes
like, you just
in?
want to kill somebody at that point.
Yeah, I figured that out like 5 episodes in, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, so you do have to kind of watch that a little bit. I know that they're changing it. And like if you read so much, like I don't think you're able to return it anymore. But just be aware if something like you look up, you're like, why did that look weird? That could be a conversation. No, Eva, you cannot return any Vella.
Yeah.
3 episodes are free. Yes.
I mean, 3 episodes are enough, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, but
Yeah. After that, you know, there it's like, you know, you're paying if you want more.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's I know with the actual Kindle, it's now as you can read, I think maybe as much or a little
10.
bit more than what you have gotten for free anyway.
Yeah,
Mhm.
10%. And does if you have the look inside feature, that's what you get, 10%.
Still working through the huge number of tokens I bought when it
Save
launched.
some for me. Save some for me, Eva. It's coming.
Well, but she does say she only reads those that she knows. So
Yeah.
I love serial fiction, and I hope that they release content often enough that I can like the story can stay fresh on my mind because I binge stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll spend a week like, you know, just reading nothing but
But that-
fanfic, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why I never really got into fanfic, just because it was never a closed-ended like a short story where I would feel satisfied and then I could read the next short story the next time. Fanfics all from the little bit that I read, it just like left you like, oh, so that's interesting, and now I'm gonna wait 3 months, maybe a year, or they may never come back. And so I was like, that's not for me. I can't. My brain is like,
this is why I love AO3 is their tag system, and you can filter so many things. Because now I only search for completed stories.
I prefer them to be completed so
I
that
do
I
too.
can just like binge it.
My only exceptions are a few specific writers that I've subscribed to their pages, and then every time they upload a chapter, I get an email, and that's very easy for me. And I'll just let a couple of chapters pile up because they are not super consistent. They're not like every week, but they try to be at least once a month, which is still decent in fanfiction world.
Yeah.
So I just the ones that I really like their stories, I just subscribe to them, and then the rest I search for completed. I'm very specific. I get like tag specific. I filter things that I don't want to read, things that I want to read, make sure they're completed and they're in English. Because also I'm in fandoms that have fan fiction in Spanish and Chinese and Thai, and I'm like, no, I need English. So that's why I love AO3. Live Journal was an experience.
Live Journal had its moments. Like it.
Yeah, you gotta find the communities that really have like a good engaged community. That's where you could get a good amount of fan fiction. And I also just befriended a lot of writers, and I'll be like, "Can you write this for me?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Yes, content."
I remember, I forget what it was called, but around Christmas, a bunch of fan fiction writers would sign up to
Yeah.
exchange stories.
I did those.
Yeah, and I loved that. I absolutely adored that.
Yeah,
And then
I did Christmas fanfic exchange. I was in a few that were like spooky or Halloween team, summer team, like a few, like I did. Right now, I usually just participate from Fanfic Fest only because I don't have that much time
Mhm.
for just writing whatever. So I have specific fests that I really like.
Right.
So whenever they have a round, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna commit to it because I like you guys.
Yeah. I haven't read fanfic in years.
Yeah, me either.
I have 7 chapters waiting for me, and I'm like,
Yeah, I haven't either.
I sometimes go on a binge.
I mean, I have
if I'm in a
7
moment.
I have 7 chapters waiting for me, and I also have a 400K fan fiction waiting for me that I'm not even a quarter in.
Oh, I got you.
Wow.
But it is so interesting.
If I can ever get away from tapas and webtoons, I might go back to reading fanfiction. But those stories just suck me in.
Oh, the AuthorTube fanfic.
that is fun.
Cancel Sean Boston? Question mark.
Yeah, but I mean, right now with the AO3 tags, it's easier to get into fanfiction because you can find completed ones.
Right.
Now, back in the day,
Back in the
it was much
Oh
harder.
my gosh.
day. It was.
Are we getting into an old people conversation again?
I mean, I was in websites that do not exist anymore at all.
Oh, it's a cozy mystery. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's my holy grail.
What's your holy grail?
Writing a cozy mystery.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing that you want to do and have.
I know. I'm just not sure I'm that author.
I'm trying to. So I want to be a cozy mystery author just once, you know. I tried to do it with the 6th book in my series was to make it like a ghost story sort of cozy mystery where he has to figure out, he puts on his detective hat and he has to figure out how these people died and who did it and like, you know, all that stuff. But I don't know if it succeeds. I haven't sent it off because it got destroyed, but I'm hoping I might have the first chapter on Google Drive.
I think I would like to at least once be either a suspense or a thriller author.
Thrillers are really fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because
I tried to do a cozy.
I just like to give people half things.
Yeah.
be
I
like,
wanted to do a cozy
"Here."
mystery.
Just a few couple of dead bodies
A few
with
couple
apparently
of
no
dead
reason.
Yeah.
I have
Figure it out.
an idea
I
for
want-
one, but I don't know if it would work.
Yeah. My cozy mystery turned into a romantic mystery thriller. So I was like, well, that didn't work, but I like the story anyway. So
Right on.
Mine starts off with a dead girl, so it's okay. She knows she's dead.
You know.
I mean, you're cozy or you're Vella?
My cozy.
You're cozy. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a joke thing. She's like, I think the first line was something like, I looked up at the guy standing above me as if he was crazy. because there's no way what he said could be true. And then it, like quotations is like, I'm not dead. I'm supposed to be the prom queen.
Oh, nice.
And that's like the beginning of it or something like that.
That's nice.
That's hilarious.
That's pretty
All
cool.
the camp.
Yeah. I mean, if you write it, you can use Alexa's as a comp title. I mean, I haven't read it. I don't know if it's similar, but it might have the similar vibes.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe I need more than that to know if that's a comp.
Again, I haven't read it, so don't quote me. I don't read.
I think she writes a little bit darker than what I was thinking that this would be. I haven't read hers either, but it could kind of be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep. I read it. I thought it was pretty good.
Nice. I don't know why I'm not drawn to YA trailers. It's hard for me to suspend my disbelief that a teenager is going to figure out a murder. I'm like,
Over
really?
the cops and everybody else.
Yeah, I'm like,
The other adults.
really? And they're gonna survive the book? Nah.
Like not halfway through, their parents are going to be like, "You come here."
I'm like, I cannot suspend my disbelief for that long.
I feel like YA. I don't want to say it's bad because it's not, but the language is simpler. The usually, you know, there's a lot of action. There's a lot of stuff happening, and I have a hard time not necessarily believing, but like commiserating with a teenager who is trying to, like, you know, undermine the police and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, those are the. I mean, I will rather read a YA contemporary, maybe a YA fantasy, because historically they age a lot quicker. Like the things that they had to do for the age they had, it makes sense for a YA fantasy and a YA sci-fi. But it's just a thriller, a suspense, a mystery. I'm like,
do a YA mystery or a YA thriller, and really I'm only basing this off of Pretty Little Liars. You have to have, like, for me, the draw that was not, because you're right, like, it's like these little teenagers, why wouldn't the police have figured this out? Like, why wouldn't their parents have gotten involved? You know, like, why did their parents not notice they're going like all these different places? And they're like, where have you been? You know, how do they even have the money to go to all these different places?
Yeah.
But it was like the relationships and the drama of those that kind of kept me involved more so than the mystery. Like, the mystery was interesting. It's like, okay, well, who's this and why'd they do that and everything else. But it was that, and I think it's the characterization. You have to have characters that people are very drawn to.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Like, you're 16. You just got your license. How are you solving anything?
Yeah.
I mean, I know.
If you make them really rich, then maybe I will buy it, because money can get you out of a lot of things.
Yes. And usually with YA, I enjoy the story and the premise of the story, and the problem that I have, which is why I don't critique YA, is that usually the teenager, just usually it's their personality, sometimes it gets on my nerves, or the fact that they're always written in first person, so the world is so closed. Like several of the last YAs that I read, more interesting things were happening elsewhere. that
Mhm.
we don't get
Yeah.
to see because our protagonist doesn't get to go. And so someone comes back and you get to find out. And I'm like, I would rather have been on the adventure with that person because that was exciting. But I got stuck with Mopey Girl because she's mad that she couldn't go. And it's like, but it's the nature of YA. So you start reading it, you go in knowing that you're going to have a younger protagonist. They're going to make silly mistakes because we did when we were kids. We're just older now. So I have to understand, I'm an older person reading a story about a teenager. So that attitude that my kids have sometimes is going to get on my nerves. And then I'm going to be like, I, as a mom, would never let my teenager do this. No way. That's what, so you have to do that. You can just go into the YA story and enjoy it for what it is, which is probably why when I do read and enjoy a YA, it's got multiple character points of view. So if that one annoying character, I'm not stuck with them the whole time.
Yeah, multi POV YA is like, where is that?
I tend to find, because I don't read a lot of third person unless it's romance.
Yeah.
I tend to find that I like multiple POV in just about almost anything.
Yeah.
Because I like to get into the head of the character, because I feel like it helps me figure out how the writer got into the head of the character, like when I'm reading it. And so I'm like, ooh, interesting how you got there.
And see, with me, with young adult, I can read young adult fantasy because they are not of this world. Because I work with teenagers and I see how they are always on their phone, and I don't see how them being right here on their phone will help them solve any kind of mystery.
Well, I Googled it. This is how we solved the crime.
Right. I managed to take a picture of it when I was doing the selfie.
Yeah.
Jenny did it. Group selfie. Yeah.
I did what was it? One of my in-person writing groups, one of our prompts was to write in a genre that you'd want to write in. So I started this cozy mystery idea, and I had it with this woman. She's like, okay, I've prepared for this. I've read all the books. I've watched all the Hallmark movies. I'm ready. First, I need to get a group. She's like, I need cohorts, and then I can figure it out. Because that's how it almost is in those stories. It's like, you're right here. How are you thinking you could figure this out? But it somehow makes it work. So yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't get stuck in a basement.
Yes, basement.
They would send their location to someone and police will get there. Yeah, there's a specific genre works for me in YA. I'm trying to be less picky with third POV and first POV because I don't like the I as a reader. As a writer, it depends on the story, but as a reader, it really irks me the I blah 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 I blah blah because I'm like, it's not me. That's not me.
I would not do that. I don't think
I'm so aware of myself that I'm like, no, that's not me. But
it all depends on the writer and how they create first person. Because if every sentence starts with I, there's a problem. There's it's not supposed to be that way.
Yeah, but I'm so in my head sometimes that I'm just like, it is not I. That is not me.
It is not I. That is not me. I just
sometimes I want the narrator to tell me the story. Tell me what's going on. And I want to know all of the things that the main character doesn't know. Tell me.
Yeah.
Oh, third person omnipotent. Yeah, I do third person close.
I do close also.
I do close too.
Yeah.
I'm
so the reader should find out about stuff just as the not the player, but the main character finds out stuff, and they can react at the same time.
Yeah.
And ideally, they won't see what's coming. Hopefully, if I've done my job right, they won't see what's coming.
For my romances, except the one that I'm doing for Nano, they're mostly first POV. Because at least for a first draft, it's just easier for me to write them that way. And then later, I may change it or not. Same with Morena. It's like POV alternated. One episode is her, one is Ethan, and they keep switching.
Oh, yeah.
So third Omni is like if someone, like the narrator is a character, they're like saying, they're telling you the story. Like The Hobbit is a really good example of our third Omni.
I was going to say a lot of your Once Upon a Time style stories where you have this great overreaching narrator that knows everything. They might tell you everything, or they might only tell you what one or two characters is going through. But they could if they wanted to, but they don't. And sometimes you're like, tell me, and they won't, which is kind of cool. So it just depends on the writer. But just know that with Omnipotent, they can tell you everything if they want to, because they are someone who sees the whole thing. And the closer you get, the less that they're going to tell you. And they might only want to tell you from one person's point of view. I never understood the problem of head hopping until I got onto AuthorTube. And everybody's like, I hate head hopping. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's just an omnipotent narrator telling. But I get it when you don't know who's speaking, because I have been lost in dialogue before, and that's annoying as crap.
Yeah.
That's true.
Sako,
Getting lost in dialogue is one problem. And then the voices being the same. I've run into that as well. Especially when it comes to horror. The really popular stuff is flawed all to hell, and I can't do it. I went and bought a whole bunch of bestsellers like last year, and I was
like,
so
this got
disappointed.
published?
I was so disappointed.
And it's funny because those are bestsellers, things that people who are not on BookTube or AuthorTube are reading. The general public is basically what they're saying is the general public is eating up the stuff that we're finding all these flaws in. And so Loki, I'm talking. So we're writing our work trying to make sure all of these things are perfect. Sometimes I do feel like I'm ripping my own work to shreds to try and fit in this little box where other authors are out there putting out stuff, and it's just like, and this is making $1 million. This is being turned into a movie.
Sometimes
over third person show don't tell. I'm like, this book is nothing but, and look at what it's doing. But we really sometimes I think we're a little too hard on ourselves because we're in the community.
I think so.
The thing is, like, we are writers who read. We're not just readers. So we come into books very differently than other people. And this is when I'm like really nitpicking what I'm writing, I'm like, Esther, stop. You're writing for readers. You're not writing for your writer friends. I mean, they're going to help you to shape it in a book form, but this is for reader. This is for people who just want to sit down and read something that will take them out of whatever bad day they had. This is for entertainment. This shouldn't be mind-bending, mind-blowing. Like, chill. You're not going to be the next whatever name. You don't have to.
You don't know. You could be.
I just want to make money, honestly. I don't have to be the next whatever. Hi. I just wanted it to be.
Not to cut the stream short, but we have breached the 2-hour mark. I am totally cool hanging out for an indeterminate amount of time. I leave it up to you guys as to whether or not you want to stick around, or you can drop out.
Loki has opinions.
Yeah.
I can stay for a little longer.
Yeah. He's
I
like, "Bathroom break."
unfortunately have to bow out because my husband's about to get home and I need to cook supper unless I want to get, fried chicken again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you
for-
so much for having me.
Do you want to do an outro real quick before you go?
Sure. So I am writer Sam Wicker here on YouTube and most of my social medias. I write mostly in fantasy with a dash of romance, but I dabble in other genres too. I do have a Vella that went live on Wednesday with the first episode, and episode
What's
2.
the title?
Oh, it's Mists. And it's Makeover Institutions Supplementing the Supernatural.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's kind of tongue-in-cheek. You have like a 300-year-old grandmother who has just woken up from a 200-year nap, and she has no clue what's going on in the world. So that is what the Makeover Institution is there for, to teach her how to socialize and deal with technology and the kids and all that. So, yeah.
Cool. That's cool.
All right. So thank you so much again for having me, and I will see y'all later.
Bye, Sam.
Bye.
Her story, the way she said it, reminded me. I was just watching a comedian, and someone asked, like, "What would you do if you woke up from being cryo-frozen or something like that?" And they were like, "Wouldn't it be funny if you got up and was just like, can I get a ride home?" They were like, "That was the best nap ever."
That is the best nap ever. Can I get it right home?
Oh, that is funny.
Let's see. Writers think that they aren't good enough a lot. Yeah, that's true. So it's easy for them to point out what's wrong with other books. I have a hard time enjoying books that can't speak English.
Okay.
That their grammar is just
Bunkers.
all over the place, and they've never studied a foreign language, so they don't understand sentence structure or anything like that, right? And I'm a prose whore, right? I love not purple prose, not to the point where it's like 5 to 10 pages about how cold it is outside, but like I do like a little bit of prose kind of sprinkled throughout the scene, which is why like Laura is one of my favorites. I love her to death. I'm just hard to please when it comes to books. So when I find a book that I can read cover to cover, like I get really excited. The last one that I read was You Were Made for This, which was like a contemporary drama about a woman who got married and had a baby, and like she's kind of living the life and being a stay-at-home mom and stuff like that, and it's her drama surrounding her life. Not normally what I would be into, but the way it was written was so interesting and so well done that like I couldn't put it down. It was so good, and not a quotation mark anywhere in the book, which was really interesting in terms of style, because you couldn't tell what was internal dialogue and what was external dialogue, and that's actually called into question at one point, where she thinks she said something internally when she actually said it out loud. So I was like, well done. Good job.
I'm like that with Spanish. I cannot do that with English because I don't have the grasp on grammar in English the way that I have it with Spanish.
Right, for sure.
So I'm sort of easier to please in English. I'm
Mhm.
just very picky with genre.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where I get picky because I like kind of like specific stories and specific tropes and things like that. It's like I know what I like and I can read the same thing over and over with different characters' names.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I'm like really picky with Spanish. Very picky.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm like, this could have been worded differently. This is
And picky with
unnecessary.
character.
Yeah.
Or this sentence is too long. It could have been
Oh
chopped up
yeah,
into three.
with Spanish sentences could get
Really
pretty
long.
long, and
I'm
I'm
like, I
like,
need a comma, at least a comma to take a breath. Come on.
At
I'm like,
least
who
take a breath.
edited this?
Take a breath.
This is way too long, and it doesn't say ish.
Yes. I'm
You know, I
not
can
very
almost-
picky as a reader as long as it's in my genres, because what I read for, I know a lot of people like, I read for the character. And I'm like, I read for the adventure.
And sure, I
Like,
read
if
for the
you
plot.
take me on an adventure, your dialogue can be simpler. I also have people talk about having aphantasia. I have hyperphantasia on the
Mhm.
far end. Every detail you give me is automatically computed and I see it. So if you describe something too much, you've now taken me down the rabbit hole into Alice in Wonderland. And I
Yeah.
don't know what is going. I'm like, colors are swirling. I'm like, what the heck? This doesn't make sense. If you use a word that's not, like if you describe blue and you describe it as one kind of blue, you say that, and then you describe it as aqua. I'm like, those are two different colors.
Those are two
But a lot of
different
times people
colors.
are like, but the blue word blows. And I'm like, but they're two different kinds of blues. What am I looking at? So I'm purple prose. If it's poetry, I'm fine. The shorter it is, the more I can tolerate purple prose. The longer the story, I'm like, I need less. Just tell me what's going on. Let me know I'm not in a box. Give me some details, because I do like details, because I want to build the world in my head.
Oh,
But
for sure.
can't do it very purpley. Purple, and we're just off into we're
Purple, it goes.
Yeah.
we're in a
If you-
Picasso painting. I don't know what's happening.
If you make me take my dictionary app more than twice or 3 times a page, I'm closing the book. Because that's just, it feels like homework for me. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I am reading to be entertained. If I wanted to like expand my vocabulary, this is I wasn't in that mindset.
Yeah.
So,
I'm like,
You
I've
know,
got
my-
4 kids.
my-
They've got activities. I'm like, I have this much time to read. I want to enjoy it. And I want to just go on adventure. I want to escape. I
Yeah.
want to have fun.
I have yet to read a book that provided that for me. So maybe I will take suggestions from you guys for an adventure or for a romance that is literally just for the joy of reading. Because I don't necessarily need it to be purple. I just I too am looking for a good time.
But what we all consider a good time is going to be different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
That's the thing. That's the thing. If you want poetry in a novel, and if simple, I've seen some, like, because I watched a lot of booktube as well.
Mhm.
There are some people that if your words are very simple, they can't read Brandon Sanderson. They're like, he just tells the story too plainly. But he's very popular because the way that he tells the story reaches many, many people. So
Yeah.
if you don't like prose, that's fine. He doesn't use a whole lot. He does do good description, but he's got this whole big world. So it's more digestible for the masses, which some people have a problem with. But I'm like, if I'm entertained, there's nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? And then he's got series after series. I could be entertained for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
With these funky books.
For Eva, if it's a new word for me, context does nothing.
Oh, I'm not wrenched. Did someone get it?
Yeah, Eva.
Someone got it. Yeah.
That's the problem. If I'm getting my dictionary out, is because context did nothing for me, because most likely is 100% new word for me. So if you are filling your book with words like that, I'm like, I'm not gonna. I mean, if I am studying vocabulary while I'm trying to get entertained and get into a story and, going on an adventure, and it's like, no, I don't want it. I don't want it.
Oh,
I actually had a author that I absolutely adored. She used to write historical romance, and then she switched to contemporary, which I was fine with,
okay.
And then she started doing mystery romance. Once again, was fine. But then she got into FBI mystery romance. And the day I picked up one of her books and she had a flow chart of the FBI chain of command at the beginning of the book, I was like, see, this feels like research. And that's just not
This
what
now
I'm
feels
reading
like
books
homework.
for.
Yeah. This now feels like
I was
homework.
like, I if I need a flow chart, like, you either have way too many characters or
You know what? Do you remember the show The Tudors?
Mhm.
Right, with Henry V and
Mhm.
or Henry VIII
Mhm.
rather, and Anne Boleyn and all of them. I wanted to like that movie. Like or that series. I am a medieval reenactor, and the Tudors were like my era, right? When little girls were planning their wedding dresses, I was planning my Tudor, and which is like a Queen of Hearts dress. If you look at a playing
Nice.
card, she's wearing a Tudor with the hat and everything. And watching the Tudors was like homework.
Mm.
He had me lost in royalty rabbit holes for months. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I already knew the royalty stuff from when I was a kid. So, oh, a doggy! Yay!
So cute.
So cute.
Yes, Eva,
Yeah.
put the flowchart in the back of the book. Maybe I will
Yeah.
read the whole thing.
She's demanding a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Oh,
How about now? How about now? How about now?
Yeah.
Because I have read books, and I think we all have, especially if you are, like fantasy or high fantasy or something like that, where there are like dictionaries in the back of the book,
Mhm.
like
Or
to
in the
explain
front.
what the
Yeah.
words are,
Mhm.
whether they made them up or whether, they're important or anything like that. But
I have formatted books that have like a
yeah.
dictionary in the front. Yeah.
But it was just the flowchart at the beginning. Yeah, I probably would have gotten through the whole book and then be like, oh, okay, that's how that person's related.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna scare some people away. Me, I'm gonna be very excited. I'll be like, "Ooh, look at this!"
Okay, so for those of us who are releasing eventually, do you have an estimated launch date?
I don't, but I'm looking at now that I've tried it with this particular story. I would like to release it in January because I was very optimistic and then still not realizing how much stuff I had going on.
Mhm.
And I want to have more of it written at first because at first I was like, I just want to have 8 chapters done and then I'll put it out. And now I'm like, no, I really want to have a lot of it written
Yeah, me too.
and ready to go. So
That way for like a year or so I can just
Mhm.
post like 3 times a week.
Yeah, because even
And
just like in October, just like stuff happened, and I'm like, oh, now I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I was like, nope.
nope.
So
Mhm.
if even just writing it without putting it out there, I could see where I would get times when I would get behind because life stuff happens. I'm like, let me have more of it ready to go.
Yeah.
If I went back, because I had a number of episodes banked and I had a full, outline and everything, and I'm more of a pantser, but I
Mhm.
actually had like an outline for where this story was going. I would have written at least 60% of the story before I started. If for
I
no
think
other reason,
that's
I did not take into account what it would be like to have somebody else like I was telling you guys, edit that got into my head. Like I've had people read my stuff and critique it and edit, for sure. We all have, but not as I'm writing. And that I think is what kind of threw me off, because I was like knowing they were going to read it right away. And it was just kind of like, oh, this is no,
So
and
you
I
were
think the
writing
only
for
thing
you,
that kept me,
for your editor, not for your audience.
the only thing that I feel like kept me in the right headspace to finish the ones that I did was because I knew the characters so well that I could still pick out, no, this is their voice, or no, this is that person's voice. And I think, like, even that's something that I appreciate for, like, just recently, the story that I'm doing for Vella, I mean, for Nano, I had written one chapter, and then the next day I was like, that's just not her voice. So I think that's the only thing that kept me kind of level where so I definitely would recommend, if you guys, can get a good chunk of it done before you start releasing. I think it would really help.
I am setting up my so I'm doing my arcs by, like, my books, right? They were previously books and now they are entire arcs, right? And I feel like I want to have the book written, and then I'll hand it off to an editor, and then they'll do developmental edits and stuff like that, which I appreciate. And then I'll know what to add. They never say take something out. They never say that. They always, because I'm an underwriter apparently, so they're just like, hey, you opened this thing, you didn't close it, so answer this question, answer this question, answer this question. And I'm totally okay doing that. So I'll usually go from like 72K to like 80K, like no problem. And then I'll break it apart into episodes and then post them after an editor. Now, granted, that is like after revision number 4. So I don't know how secretive I'm going to be about this story. Like, do I want to send it to an editor at all, or maybe a proofreader? Because I'm my hardest editor. I really am. So, so when I self-edit, when I'm handing it off to an editor, I'm really looking for developmental issues, because I'll be so into it that I can't see what's wrong with it. Oh, Carrie's an underwriter as well. Hi, Carrie.
Yeah.
My edits were mostly clarify this, describe this more, flesh this out. Yeah. Yeah. I can relate. Ooh.
Yeah, my approach to Vella is like, I know I'm not expecting a lot of money from it. So I'm not gonna invest a lot of money in it. Also, I kind of like have a tighter deadline. I had a month of episodes ready, and I wanted to keep that, but alas, hurricanes,
Yeah, sure.
electricity, things like that do get you behind. So usually I'm like 2 weeks, a week ahead. So I don't like to rump in people in such a tight deadline. So I
Okay.
usually write 2 episodes, and then I go, since that gives me a couple of days of separation from the previous episode, then I go back and revise it. And then since I already bought pro writing a long time ago with a discount, I'm like, yeah, let's use pro writing aid to fix my grammar issues.
Oh, sure.
Because my biggest problem is my verb tenses. I'm horrible at that. So at least it's readable.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm not gonna invest a lot of money in something I know from the get go is not gonna give me a lot of money. If for any reason it blows up and I get a lot of money, then yeah, I will go back and
Invest
get
in
an
it.
editor or a proofreader and kind of like beef it up a little bit. Or that money will put it for the book per se.
Mm-hmm.
I did invest in my cover.
Oh,
I
sure.
also did technically because I had I still have a lot of credits for Deposit Shop because I bought it like 100 images for like I think 30 or $40,
Mhm.
and I haven't used them, so I bought the image. I have the rights, and then I just use whatever I remember for my Photoshop days and created something. I was like, I don't want this. It's just a circle, so I cannot be too fancy. I just the photo of in and of itself says a lot. So I'm just like, let's not do a lot of things. I just
Yeah.
did a lot of color correcting and enhancing and things like that.
Well, I
Yeah,
had
I
somebody do my cover on Vella. I
Mhm.
mean, not on Vella, on Fiverr.
On
Yeah.
Fiverr. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't invest. Like I know some people have invested, like hundreds upon
Yeah.
hundreds. I didn't do that, but I did. It was maybe $45, something
Okay.
like that.
That is
Which I
more than
didn't think was.
reasonable for a cover.
Yeah, and she did a Vella cover as well as a book cover mock-up.
Okay.
Nice.
So I was happy with that because I thought that I got a really great deal and I really liked what she did.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then I am fortunate that the editor that I'm working with is someone I know.
Mhm.
And so I feel like she's giving me a ridiculous deal. Um, she might be like, no, it's where I'm charging everybody else. I tend to pay her a little bit more than what she gives me. Or at least I try to. Some weeks, it's a little bit
Give her a
on the
tip.
lean side,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get you back next time.
Yeah.
But that's probably the only reason that I've done it. But I would say over the 3 months that I've been on Vella, it has covered the cost. And that was always my conversation, and that's my conversation with my photography business as well, is whatever I'm doing, it needs to cover the cost to do
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. You break
And so
even.
as long as it does that, and if I could get some extra, awesome.
Mhm.
But
Break even.
yeah. So that was why I didn't mind investing those few things in there.
Yeah.
Um,
And I got lucky because I just happened to find some images that were on my paid Canva that I actually liked. So I just played with those images to make, and it's only for the Vella. And when it's all completed and I'm done having it on Vella, I will either make my own pay for actual images that I can kind of control and make sure that everybody's not able to use those images, or
Mhm.
mhm.
make my own. But that's like a future thing. Right now it's just a
Yeah.
little circle thumbnail, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
so it works. And I'm not
Nice.
expecting to make a lot of money, so
Yeah. You do it for fun, right?
Yeah.
And Ginny is a great example of a writer who, one, writes for fun and makes writing fun, right? So she's a lot of fun to read. There's I formatted her first book for her. I hope I get to format the other books too. It was just a blast while I was formatting it. I'm kind of like skimming through the book, and I could skim through the book without like losing a lot of content,
Mhm.
you know. So yay! I hope I can do the things. So I'm actually curious. Yay! I'm actually curious. What were Ginny's like writing chops? You know, like what was your origin story when it comes to writing? Were you into fanfic, or did you role play, or did you, write in notebooks and pass it around, or like what did you do?
Mhm.
My curious minds want to know. Carrie is talking about how it is a freaking blast to write her Vella story. It goes all over the place. If I want to have someone randomly shapeshift into a dragon, sure, why not? Sure, let's do it.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think a lot of people see Vella as kind of like stories who are like in a first or second draft stage. So they're more lenient to like shenanigans and inconsistencies. Things like wouldn't really fly on a book.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's a great tool since this hemisphere side of readers are not used to serialized story. I think this is a good tool to get the draft out, get the first or the second draft out, maybe get some impression of it. And once it's done, then you can be like, okay, do I want to keep it there for funsies, or do I want to transform it into something else?
Yeah, for sure.
That feedback when you're having
And
fun
also-
with your story and throwing different things in there, and that feedback, so you can really live time almost see what the audience is getting into. Like, oh, we love that you just made that person shift into a dragon. That was fantastic. And you're like, they like when I drag
they take
it,
it outside of Vella.
Because I do think some people are even using it kind of like what Nia was saying, almost like a create your own adventure type of story,
very
where
much
they're
so.
using the Arthur notes and the polls, and they're like, would you like to see Brian end up with Susan, or would you like to see him end up with Alicia? And then that's how they're kind of writing their story, type of thing.
Cool.
So and I'm here for it. I think it's kind of rather cool.
I think pay as you go, play as you go. Like
one of the ones that I read that I just found very interesting. It was I'm gonna have to look up the name because I know I saved it because I wanted to recommend it, because I feel like it was like Truth or Dare, but it wasn't. And I think I told some other people about it. It was like almost like the Big Brother house. Like these people moved in as a competition, and you had to either answer truthfully or something, and it was 3 questions each day, and that was how you got clothes, food, or shelter. And if you answered wrong or you lied, you didn't get one of those things. And what I loved was that with the polls, they like each episode had one question, and that was what she asked in the polls. So whatever the question was in the story, that was the poll. So it was like you were almost testing your own honesty and truth as you read it, and it almost made it like interactive in some ways, because it was like, I'm not in the house. I mean, I can go get some food, but still, what would I say?
The Carrie is used to stuff that isn't all that polished, So, Fiction Press and fanfic.net for sure. Back in the day, and I'm assuming back in the day was like 1995, 1998. That was my back in the day. I can't remember
what
what
the day was. Early 2000s. I think that was my back in the day.
That was your back in the day, is early 2000s?
Yeah, for fan fiction.
For fan fiction. Yeah, early 2000s was pretty big for fan fiction for me.
Yeah.
Every moment that I wasn't in school were totally, and I was class of 2000, so I was going into college, 2002 or so. And I was basically going to school, coming home, reading, all night, reading when I woke up the next morning, and then go to school and repeat.
Yeah.
Right? So I was binging content, and I have to say I really loved that life. It was it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you feel like doing a sprint?
We can.
Ooh, yeah.
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 All right. Cool.
I got words to get.
Let me back up this timer.
I can try to finish this episode, and I will be very happy.
Sweet. Let's work on episodes. 3, 2, 1. Let's do the things. And that was the end of the sprint. I'm going to be AFK just for a second, but please feel free to chat in my absence.
That's okay. I mean, if we're sharing workout, I did 214, so I finished the episode. And I'm just gonna clean it up and give it a rest. Just gonna. Yeah. How you guys did?
I did not do my word count, but I did just finish up the scene, or almost. I'm like a few words away from finishing up the scene.
Yay!
I am still editing through because I realized when I wrote it, I realized as I was driving home after I wrote it, there's a couple of little problematic timeline things going on. So I'm trying to figure those out. Because I think I had too much time in between. It's not quite a found family trope, but it's kind of. And I think I had a little too much time in between when someone is found and when someone comes looking. That didn't quite make sense. So
Okay.
But you guys could maybe help me out. Okay, so one of my characters' names is Autumn. And I
Her
need
name
a
is what?
name. Autumn.
Autumn. Mm-hmm.
And as much as I really wanted to name her sister Spring, I just felt like that was a little too much. So I need a name for the sister.
I mean, do you want her to be spring related?
No, it doesn't have to be. I just
What about?
I don't know.
What about
When I
River?
was sitting there and I was thinking of a sister, I was just like, what could her sister's name be? And I was like,
What if her name was
it
River?
can't be Winter because I don't know any people named Winter. I know people whose last name are Winters. And so I was like, oh, it could be Spring. And I was like, that's just silly.
Yeah. What about River? So not quite as bad as Spring, but I could see parents. I'm a mom of 4. I could see parents doing this.
Autumn and River. I could do that. I have a different book
there
that I
you go
want to
with
use
more of a
Storm
nature.
for.
With a
Because
more
I
of a
thought
nature
about
theme.
Storm too.
Oh, Storm is cute. Yeah.
But I
So
have
it's
a
not
different story I want to
necessarily
use Storm for.
seasons. Yeah, so it's not necessarily seasons, but if they're like more naturey type people, that might work.
Yeah.
I don't mind River. River's kind of cool. I like April too.
Oh, April's cute.
I know a couple of Aprils.
See,
who
so
were
do I, and
who
I
were
try my best not to name people after folks I know.
I know an April who was born in April, and I know an April who was born in May.
I love it. I have a friend who's born in April, and every year I call her in March, and I'm like, "Happy birthday!" and she's like, "Not my birthday." And so then I forget, and I will call her in May, and I'm like, "Happy birthday!" and she's like, "Still not my birthday." I'm like, "It's one of those M months," and she's like, "No, it's the one in the middle." She's like, "We have this conversation every year. Write it down. How come you can't remember it's the one in the middle?" And every year I'm like, "I remember it's an M month." She's like, "No, one in the middle."
You have.
I mean, do you know which month I was born in, Tiff?
Should I?
I mean, I'm just saying because if you remember, then you should remember hers because it's the same month, April.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. I'm an Aries, so I had to be born either
that
very
means nothing
end
to me. Past Scorpio and Sagittarius, I got no clue what anybody is. And the only reason I remember Sagittarius is because it comes after Scorpio, and one of my cousins is. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Tauruses because they come after Aries, and I know Pisces because my mom is a Pisces, and I know Leos because my brother and 2 of my closest friends, like childhood friends, are both of them Leo, and I'm like,
I know.
I'm already dealing with my brother. I didn't need him more Leos in my life.
I also know. Hold on. Aquarius. That's February.
I think that's like
It's
January,
February.
to
And the reason
February,
why
because
I know,
Pisces are February, March.
the reason why I know, A, is because my father is Aquarius. But his youngest brother 1 year was hitting on one of my father's friends. And he was telling her, he was like he kept saying her name, like, Melissa. Because she supposedly came over for Christmas to drop off my father's gift, and he was like, my name's Larry, and I'm an equestrian too. And of course their sister, their baby sister is sitting there, and she's like, it's Aquarius, fool, and it's not 1972.
Oh, man.
She's like, nobody gives signs anymore. So that's why I do actually remember Aquarius, Aquarius, because he said he was an equestrian, and my father's like, no. Like, basically, that's not what
Oh
it
boy,
is.
it's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
I have returned.
Yay!
Yay! April, May, storm, summer, storm.
I think I'm gonna go with River, only because I already have, it's a shifter story, and there's a storm in that. So that's the only reason.
Already.
And I just, as much as I really kind of want to make the sisters summer and autumn, I just feel like that's a little too cheesy.
Those are some hippie parents.
I know I can't, but I think I can get away with River and Autumn. But I that's the only reason I'm not going with Summer. But Summer may show up somewhere else.
Right on.
No, summer can't show up somewhere else. If you're gonna put it in summer, it's got to be they've got to go together.
Well, I mean, she's not gonna show up in this story. She may show up in a different story.
All right, story.
Sweet.
Actually, this story is getting to be quite a long list of characters, and it's my flash fiction, my 12 flash fictions that Nia and JC keep arguing with me are short stories.
Get off the table.
Yeah, I'm afraid they may not be flashes anymore.
Whatever. Although I will say, in the last 2 days, they've acquired maybe 5 more people.
Oh boy.
Maybe 5 more characters. I don't know.
Yeah, I worry sometimes that I have too many characters. I don't know.
Well, mine is it's a whole town. And so each time I write a flash, of course it's a new person in the town.
Yeah, of course.
So and then they have people, and so yeah, it just keeps growing. I have a whole list now at this point of just.
So you need a series Bible. Yeah.
Well, I didn't think like when I first thought it up, I don't think I thought of that, but I think I am gonna eventually need something.
Need something like that, so you don't have to read through all that flash, like trying to figure out who's who.
Yeah. Well, more so because I know who's who, but I have to remember, like, okay, the lunch station is the main diner in the town.
You need a map.
Mr. Gilbert makes the wedding or the desserts and the wedding cakes, and like Miss Abilene's is where the people, it's like the bread and breakfast almost. And so
I just had to refrain myself from grabbing my thing and drawing a map.
I mean, I'm not mad at you if you do. Because we all know how bad they know how bad I have another story that's set on a college campus, and I told them when I was going through the first round of edits, I realized that I had to draw, at least if nothing else, boxes where the classes were, because I had every time they broke apart, she went to the left. It didn't matter what class she was going to. It didn't matter what class she was going to. The left. We're just veering to the left.
It's like, but how?
Oh, sorry.
So I'm really not mad if you want to draw it now. All I can tell you is there's a town square and a tree. and a bunch of other stuff.
And a bunch of other stuff.
That's all. That's the most I can help you.
That's
You know, I know Winston is the mayor. Can't even tell you if there's a town hall. I don't know.
No, I love world building. I love it. There are, for World of Darkness, there are entire books devoted to building your own cities.
Ooh.
And it has stuff for like the shipyard and the warehouses and and the restaurants and all the libraries and all the, you know, what is the underground like, where do the high crust like to hang out, like stuff like that. I just drink it all up. I love world building.
I love world building. I just am not like, I love world building in the sense of like who's who and like what involved.
How they interact with that.
You know, yeah, and how they interact. I just like, I'm really bad at placement of where stuff is.
So White Room Syndrome.
Well, not so much White Room, but it's like,
where are we going?
Right. Like I have another story that's set in a small town, and I know there's like a main drag. I know there's a gas station when you come in the town, and there's a diner. And again, there's a bed and breakfast. Somewhere there's a church, and somewhere there's a spring.
Maybe off the drag, you know.
You know, like that's all I got.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, and sometimes you
sometimes
need to build a whole ship with all of the decks and where all the rooms and everything is located on the ship.
And see, I want to get to that level. But see, I have another world that's shifters. I can tell you that they have a council of 10. I can tell you every person who's on the council of 10. I can tell you that they have a council of 10 because the beta wolf is the one that is the deciding factor of something. It goes to a vote, and he is the alpha of the sun. I can give you like a family tree of everybody, you know, of that whole alpha family. I know that the house of the alpha is a little bit above everybody, that they live in the mountains, that there is a waterway right behind, like that much I can tell you. Ask me where somebody's house is, and I'm like, somewhere in the city.
like they're somewhere.
You know, I know they have a hallowed moon festival every year the week before Halloween, and somehow in the town center they have a big like picnic and everything else. Where's the town center? I don't know. In the center.
In the center.
Where all town centers are.
So
what's in the town center? Center stuff?
That's funny. That is so funny.
So yeah, I that's my world building. I could tell you all the random people and the stuff, and then you ask me like where it's at, and I'm like, I don't know.
You're like somewhere.
Yeah.
That is funny.
No,
So I aspire to get to Nia's level where I have a whole, you know, town drawn and know where everybody's at. That would be great.
it's super fun.
I have an index card with boxes.
You know what? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yep. If you can keep it straight and it helps you, do whatever it is that you need to do. But I always tell people I do too much, but for me, it is literally part of the fun. It is part of the
literally
joy
part of the
creating
fun.
the world.
Oh, I would love it if I had that artistic
Most of it's
ability.
not necessary, but I just love to do it.
I just love it so much.
Now, I did think about, because I do have, if I do say so myself, mad photography skills. And so I did think about going and finding a bunch of random pictures and then photoshopping them into the town that I want.
That is more work than I'm willing to expend.
Well, my problem was then I'd have to color grade, and I'd have to like work with lighting and like put everything, and all.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
that's where I'm like, it's a little. Then I'm getting extreme.
You know what I love to do, especially when I first start messing with a city, is Google Street View.
Me too.
And that's where I get my buildings. That's where I get my cars that are parked on the street. That's where I get my lampposts and stuff like that.
I've never Googled Street View. I've Googled towns.
Yeah, that's the advice
houses.
that
Drop-
that's the advice I gave
drop
to
that little yellow dude right in the middle of
he's
that town.
fantastic. Mama Maggie was looking for a town to build her she didn't want to use New Orleans, but she was looking for maybe a town similar to that, those beach towns in the Gulf. And I said, go to Google, and I said, drive down the streets. I said, look at the buildings and see if that's the town that has. Because I think she was like Corpus Christi or some other place. Yeah. I said, take that Google map guy and just drive down the street and see if that's the town that gives you the vibe that you're looking for. And she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, I do that all the time. I'm like, yes. I want my.
I do that with houses.
I always change my names. I never use a real town, but I'm like, oh yeah, this town. You just put it on. You go straight through. Sometimes you'll get the guys that walk it, and they'll talk about it at the same time, so you can live action see what the people are like walking down the street. Those YouTube guys are really cool too.
See, I do that with houses. Like when I'm trying to figure out like where a family lives or something like that. Like realtor.com is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
They have like the virtual tour. So you can kind of go through the house, and it gives me kind of an idea, which could be why my homes are very detailed in my towns. It's over on the side there.
Well, you can do pretty much the same thing with the Street View version of Google Maps.
Street View is amazing.
Like the book that I'm writing for NaNoWriMo it's kind of like very much inspired in a town that I lived in, but sometimes I don't remember things, and I'm just like Google Street View, and I'm like,
and maybe
was this there
expanded in the past 10 years?
Yes, that's another thing.
Nice.
If you're using a real town. Because sometimes people are even like, well, I'm from there. I've been there. I'm like, you were there like 20 years ago. It's completely different now.
It's completely different.
I mean, I haven't lived there in, I will say, 2 years, so they haven't changed that much. But still, I'm like, wait, do they just have one bank on the main street and then just one? Like, and I'm like, let me search this because I don't remember.
Oh yeah, my town probably should have a bank.
Yep.
Yeah, if it's a small town, you have to have a postal service, a bank, pharmacy, a supermarket, and a gas station.
Yeah.
You can put
they have a grocery.
You can put as many churches you want because apparently
there are churches all over the place. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But
I know it has a cemetery. I know it has
maybe a barber,
a lunch station, diner. I know it has Miss Abeline's house. And I know it has a grocery.
Have bed and breakfast places too.
That's just Miss Abeline.
Garrett,
She likes having kids underfoot.
We're talking Vella for a really long time, apparently. So yeah, Nia, are you looking for commission work? Because Jennifer is wondering if she could hire you to do the map for her story.
I am not being hired right now. I've already got a couple of commissions I've got to take care of, but depends on when. And if you need it sooner, I may know somebody else who also does maps who might be able to help you out. So let me know if it's something that you need sooner or later.
Yeah, if it's an urgent thing.
We love you too, Barrett.
Aww. He's so fun. Are you home? I hope he's home.
Are you home? I'm pretty sure he's home.
Well, he's
That job.
I need a bank.
Are you guys just imagining your little towns with just a few houses and that's it?
yeah.
Because that's a neighborhood. That's not a town.
That's a neighborhood, not a town. Yeah.
No. Even
Look,
in my
it took me
Vella, I
it took
literally
me
want to name
Newsflash.
after my Vella.
it took me
just
a while
because-
to it took me a while and a teenager to realize that I needed a school in one story. Okay.
I mean, you actually need two schools. One that is elementary and middle school, and then the high school.
Okay, she's high school. We're just gonna assume there's an elementary school.
So maybe we should do like a list of things that should be on a town.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I
Yeah,
said, there
maybe
are
we
books
should.
dedicated to it.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I apparently know nothing except for the lunch plate. I know places when I need to send characters to them. Then it
But
becomes part
what's
of the
in
town.
between? And I know who your main character is, so I'm not going to say because I don't know how much you're putting out there. But you need to make sure that the things line up for where your main character can see and actually be involved and be able to tell the story that you're telling.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, I can't because again, you know the main character. I do know the gazebo town center or center area is by there, and in my head, the diner is on the right, and the cemetery is behind, and then there's a sign near there that like the welcome to the
You know
town.
what you should get a piece of paper,
I know.
draw where your main characters is, and then start drawing those little things. And once you got there, you'll be like, okay, so let's start adding the other things.
So, fun fact, I have art drawing paper. I'm going to do that for you. And when we get to Gwenna's stream, I will show you how bad that is.
I mean, are you gonna show it? Are you gonna show it on?
It was making me a little crazy.
Yeah, are you showing on screen? Because as far as I know, I'm not gonna be on screen for Gwenna. I'm usually on chat. I'm not gonna blast her here, but I I am going to. I never get her link for her Friday stream, so. And you guys know me, I'm not someone who is like, hey, can I get in your stream? It's like, I already put that out there. You want me to, just ask me, are you available this day? And I will tell you yes or no. That's it. Because I'll make things happen. I mean, I've been on live stream at 5 a.m. in the morning, so I can make a night
And
one.
God bless you.
God bless.
Because that won't be me.
Yeah, that's just because I love my author 2 people, so.
What
Aw, we love you too.
Barrett told me I was on a stream. I forgot what time it was, but I know it was early in the morning one day. And he's like, afterwards, Zara messaged him and was like, is Tiffany okay? Did something happen? And he goes, no, she's just not a morning person.
He's not a morning person.
Because apparently I was not very conscious.
Oh.
Yeah, I have.
And I was like, I thought I had hit it very well. He's like, no, I watched it. You didn't.
No, I watched that
I have
too.
streamed with author Anne Sophie, which she's in Germany, so a lot of her hours are really early here.
Mhm.
So I'm usually kind of like very mellow out, and I let them know, and I'm like, it is this time of the day. It is dark. Halfway through the stream, you're gonna start seeing the light. So,
One of
bear
these
that in mind.
days, I want to get on Anya's stream. She's also in Germany. She streams what's 8
It's
a.m.
like 2 in the
where
morning,
she
I
is,
think, here.
but it's 3 a.m. where I am.
Yeah.
So one day,
I've only seen it from the wrong side of the clock.
See, I have done like witching hour streams not on screen in the chat because that's
Mhm.
where I write. Like late at night is my best creative time.
Yeah, me too.
So sometimes, like I did one pop-up stream like at 12:30 a.m. Be like, I'm awake. I
I
want to
do that
write.
all the time. Yep.
I like it. I
Yeah,
think
if you
with-
want company, Sako, just hit me up.
Hell yeah.
Oh, 'cause, yeah, I'm normally up, you know,
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
we stay up on stream sometimes writing, but it's like anything before 9 a.m. and I'm just like,
Nope.
do we have to?
I've been waking up at like 9:30 lately, and my poor cat is like at the point where he's like meow 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 meow. So and my husband has a Nerf gun next to the bed, so he shoots the cat whenever he meows at like 8 o'clock in the morning, which
Hilarious.
you know won't hurt the cat, just scare the shit out of him.
Yeah.
That's how I used to get up for school. I foolishly started feeding my cat in the morning before I went to school, and then that was when she expected it. So in the morning, she'd push her way into my room and just lay on my head until I woke up, just meow, 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 meow. And I'm like, okay, fine, I got you.
It used to be that he would come and wake me up at like 8. And I guess he's been trying and failing. My alarm clock goes off at 8. I apparently turn it off and go back to sleep. Apparently that's the thing I do.
Yeah, Loki has an alarm. There's a specific ringtone. It's the church bells chiming. That's when he's allowed to get me up. So he's trained. He's been trained like that since like day 2 that we got him. Because I was like, "You're no dog, no." So I'll fudge with the time. If I'm really tired, I'll like, "Oh my gosh, the alarm's about to go off," and I'll fudge the time, and he will just get up and just like look at me like I feel like we should be getting up. And if I try to hit snooze, because it's when he's got to go to the bathroom also, you know, so I can only fudge so much with the time. But if an alarm goes off and I want to snooze, he'll want to. If he wants to snooze, he's good. He'll curl up next to me and lay right back down. But if he doesn't, he'll come right up to my face like this, like I need to go.
Yeah.
And then he'll go to the door and be like at the door. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we gotta go.
Yeah, and then he will
He's like, I'm serious.
go to the door and be like meow, 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 meow.
Yeah. My dog usually will just walk towards the door to go outside a couple of times. I go to mostly my mom because she sleeps with my mom. So she will go to my mom, go to the door, go to my mom, go to the door. If we don't get it that way, she start barking. If we don't get it that way, she goes to my room, opens the door, and grabs me like play bite and pulls my arm to pull me out of the bed.
Yep.
It's like if grandma doesn't work, then mom better work.
Like,
Yep.
somebody's
She's
gonna take
not
me out,
nice
or
with
we're all
me.
gonna have a
She's
problem.
nice with my mom. She's not with me. She's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna quote unquote bite you.
She's like, take me out, or we're all gonna have problems.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh,
How can authors get better placement and promotion on the Kindle Vella page?
ooh,
Do we know?
I'm not positive anybody really knows.
Apparently self-publishing with Dale, I'm looking at his website, and he talked to a lady regarding that question. And she said, so the thing we've seen so far is that readers are really responding to the frequency and regularity of publishing. So
Yes.
stories are coming out with episodes on a regular schedule, but a frequent one as well, once or twice a week, we're seeing readers engage with those the most. Then the way our Kindle Vella store works, it ends up featuring those stories. Stories that readers are engaging with the most, kind of the way that Amazon works in general, are the ones that get the best placement. So things that authors can do to increase their public... Sorry, let me try that again. So things that authors can do are increase their publishing frequency. Then readers get a fave each week that they can use to vote for a story they are enjoying the most. The most voted for stories appear on the leaderboard each week. So by publishing more frequently, you're staying in the front of mind for readers who may feel compelled to use their fave to vote for you.
And they only get one a week.
Yeah. I do agree. Everything that I've heard does say, even for the bonuses, that it does favor those who publish regularly and publish often.
Yeah.
I personally just, because of, I guess if I sat down and I just really nose to the grindstone and wrote the whole thing, I could probably publish twice a week. There's other people who are publishing 3 times a week.
Right.
So I think that just depends. But I also think it depends. Like, there's some people, again, that I've seen in the groups, they're posting 2-3 times a week, but they have 3-4 different stories. So they might be publishing once every 2 weeks on one story, but it looks like they're publishing 3-4 times a week because they're publishing on multiple stories.
Yeah.
Does that help them show
I don't
up?
know if it helps necessarily the specific reader. I think it helps their bonuses. As far as the specific story, I think it does help if you're publishing multiple times and frequently on one specific story.
This lady actually talks about you can publish your story as a print book or an ebook without removing it from Kindle Vella.
Yeah,
It can be available in both formats, so readers can choose. We do
3
ask
months or 6 months. After you have to end it though. Like, you have to get to the end. You have to press the end.
It have to be completed.
And then it's like 3 months, I think, or 6 months from there. Then you can
do like episodes 1 through 10. Like, let's say you have 50 episodes out, you can do 1 through 10 as a book, and you would change your
only if you do the other ones, I think, as a different book.
We do ask if you do publish to ebook or print that your last episode be active on Vella for 30 days prior.
Oh, it's 30 days. Okay.
You can make use of KDP Select and make it available for Kindle Unlimited readers as well. There is a link at the bottom of your dashboard. Oh, for KDP customer service. I see. There's also a community tab. So the recommendation for how often you should post seems to be once a week.
At least.
At least.
Yeah. If you can do twice, that's, you're going to get favorited more, I guess you could say. Or get more recognition. I think, I don't know if you know. Is it still Cole?
Huh?
Is it a writer?
Yes. They were on the stream with us, Esther. Is it Cole?
Yes.
Because I know they just did the transition, and I didn't remember if it was like what was the correct name.
Yeah, Cole.
I don't remember the last name. When they
I
first,
can find it. 1 second.
yeah, when they first started doing theirs, it's sci-fi, I think, and they have a video up. I think it was they were maybe releasing like 3 times a week or something like that, and the video talks about how like their bonuses skyrocketed,
Really?
as well as their placement in the story, but they also burnt out a little bit, and so then they stopped publishing for a while, and now are bringing it back in.
So their channel is Kayla Canoe, but they go by the name Cole.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Yes. They just transitioned.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's what I was
Mhm.
trying. I was like, I know
Yeah.
Cole, but I couldn't remember the original or the other name for the
Yeah.
the channel.
I don't know if they
It
are
was
gonna
originally
change
Kayla, yeah.
the
Yeah.
name of the YouTube channel.
I think the
But-
YouTube channel is currently Kayla still,
Yeah,
Mhm.
Kayla
but
Canoe.
I
So
think
I don't
they
know.
are referring to themselves as Cole.
That's cool. Yeah.
Because I
I hope
remember
they
on
are-
the stream that was how we were doing it, so that's why I was like,
You've been on a stream with Cole Canoe?
Mhm.
That's so cool. That's so
yeah.
cool.
When that's the one that Esther and I did for Kindle Vella before we released ours.
Nice.
Yeah. And I will find Tiff video for that live. If you give me a sec.
Ahoy.
Esther and Eva are resident link people.
Or the link people.
I feel like they have them all lined up when they go into a live
No.
stream.
I don't have them lined up. I just kind of good at searching. Don't know.
Oh, Carrie. So episode 50 went live middle to end of June. And I published the paperback and ebook in August. Both of them beyond the 30 days, and the date had personal significance.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Very nice.
Also, if you haven't found Tiff's Vella up to this point, there is the link in the chat.
That's
this
for
is
the
the video.
live.
From your video, Tiff, that you guys did, one of the writers, I forget what her name is, and so I want to go look. I think was she writing romance because
Yes.
One
her
of
thing
them.
was going really well. Yeah.
Sylvia Hubbard.
Sylvia with the plan, that Sylvia.
Oh, I don't know about that. I know her Arthur name is Sylvia Hubbard.
Oh. I don't know if that is the same Sylvia.
Yeah. So I was
she's a-
wondering, does she do clean romance, and do you know if
No.
that does the same?
No.
Oh,
No, it's not clean romance.
I can tell you that.
They're
No.
not clean.
I mean, it's not. I wouldn't, because I know we had the conversation of erotica the other day. I wouldn't say it's erotica, but it's.
But it is hot.
It's it's a little sassy. It's a
Sassy.
little saucy.
Yeah, it has some good amount of spice.
A good amount of spice.
does that do better in the romance category, or is it just romance in general? Clean does just as well. Do
I
you
don't
know?
think clean does
Yeah. I don't
well because I think Mama Maggie was having trouble with that.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah, I remember her asking about that.
Overall, in romance, I want to say sweet romance. I don't want to say clean romance because I
Oh
don't
yes,
want
that's right. Sweet
to.
romance.
Sex is not nothing bad.
Hallmarky.
So sweet romance overall has a very specific readership.
Mhm.
So they don't have as big of a pool than spicy romance. And since there's not that many, they're not. The readership for Vella is still we're still trying to pull people in. I think is more normal to see readers for like spicier books, because a lot of them already read in Radish and all this like good novel and all these places, who most, if not all of their content is very sexy and smexy and steamy and raunchy.
Like 5 out of 5 peppers on the spicy.
Yeah, like habanero hot.
However, here, because you'd asked about the trigger warnings, because I
Yeah.
was calling up Sylvia Hubbard to show you who she was. One of hers, which is the name of is Delilah's Desire, but in quotation or in parentheses, she does say intrigue, erotica, or erotic romance. She does have a warning right at the top of her intro to explain what the story is. And it says, this warning, this book contains several aspects of the uglier side of life. It is not for the faint of heart.
Right.
So I think in that idea, that's how people would do a trigger warning or something like that.
Mhm.
And then it goes into the description of the story.
Right. Now she's thinking about doing a paranormal romance for Vella.
Mhm.
I like it.
We like it. We like it here.
Now, in all fairness, though, the author that you're talking about, Nia, who does the romance, she has a number of different published books. And I have noticed that people who do have published books do seem to somewhat transition a little bit better into Vella
Oh, yeah.
sometimes than people who don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that as a way for their readers to get something from them on a regular basis. So I could see that.
But she also mentioned that even before Vella, she was doing serialized fiction on her website.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
her readers are kind of used to her in that respect.
I did it on LJ.
Live journal? Oh
I have a
goodness.
live journal for my MC. Yeah.
Okay.
Where he basically tells his past. All his backstory stuff is on LJ.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, wait a minute, Laura. Didn't Deidre just move to Canada and she can post it on Vella?
No.
Is Deidre in Canada?
No,
Yeah,
I think
because that was where
Deidre-
her and her husband were moving. I thought was to Canada.
Deidre
She was
has
able to publish hers.
I think she has a US LLC, I think.
She does.
Oh, okay. Okay. So maybe
So
that's
she can do some things, but she can't buy them coins.
Yeah,
It's
Can't
she,
buy
she's,
right.
coins.
she's like me. She cannot
You can
read.
do some things and not other things. So it's
Yeah.
like
It's really
Okay.
weird. Yeah.
That's silly.
I'm excited for the vampire romance.
Oh, it's so good.
I hope they roll out that.
Someone
And-
mentioned that they thought that it was coming to Canada quite soon, but they didn't say when.
They have just, they just broke the seal in July, right? So I think they will eventually branch out, but for right now, US is,
they're probably
Yeah.
still
let's
working.
keep
through
it local until we can expand.
Yeah. Which sucks.
Which it sucks, but at the same time, I think that they tried something else similar before, and it like blew up in flames, and a lot of writers were kind of left, hanging. So part of me is like, I'd rather them take their time and do it right, so that all these writers don't get burned again.
Mhm.
I can't remember what the thing was called, but Charlie Dorset, they talk about it because they remember it quite well.
Mhm.
But yeah, it ended up being a disaster, and a lot of writers got burned from it. So
Oh,
I want them to do it as quickly as possible, because we need there's so many other stories out there, and people who want stories in other languages that, a lot of American
Yeah.
writers aren't writing in other languages. So that availability and accessibility, I think it'll be great but I want it to be good. I don't want them to like, oh, here it is. And then just the whole thing collapses because they haven't fixed the problems that they've already got.
right.
Laura, could you put it? I know you have like a paid tier on your Ko-fi. Could you do it on your Ko-fi like
That's
that?
a good option.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
On your coffee?
On our
Question mark?
Ko-fi page?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And then market
Oh,
the hell out of your
under
coffee.
a pen name. So that
You can
might be.
do a pen name for a coffee.
Oh, she
Yeah.
did
You
say
just
that.
put
I'm
me.
thinking I'll
Yeah.
post it on Ko-fi.
Yeah.
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 Awesome sauce.
Awesome socks.
Mm-hmm.
Tell stories have to be behind a paywall if they're posted elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the people who want to do serialized and are outside of the US market, things like Coffee and Patreon are an option,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they already have people interested in reading their story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
And then she wants to finish it before she
Yeah.
posts.
Yeah, that's a
Honestly,
good
when
idea
that-
since we're pantsing it.
That's a good idea. The problem I have with pantsing is I don't know how to end it. Like, unless I have structure in the third act going into the epilogue and all of that stuff, denouement and whatnot, I need structure, or else I'll just be writing forever.
Yeah, I need to know how it's going to end as well because I need to know where to stop because I'm
I
that
need to
person.
know where.
Even after the story ends, I could tell another story. So if I don't definitively give myself at least this story is going to end here, I will just keep going and keep going and keep going.
I'm more of a pantser for the most part, but I always know where my end is. Like if I don't, I have to know three things. I have to know like what the ending is, what the big, kind of not necessarily midpoint or dark moment, but like what's the thing that makes people go, oh my god, I didn't see that coming. And then like what is my character's motivation? Like why are they in the story? And generally if I know that, I can figure out and maneuver my way through the rest of it. Now sometimes I do like to have at least a short game plan, even if it's just a bullet point of Susie goes to the diner, Susie meets Bob, there's an instant connection. Bob has been hurt by his wife or ex-wife and doesn't want to fall in love or whatever it is, Susie gets attacked and turned into a werewolf. Bob gets kidnapped. She has to go get him. Whatever.
Or bullet point. No, my outlines are bullet points. So like, as long as I hit the point, there has to be a point to every bullet point.
I do definitely outline. It depends on the project, but I do need to know how it starts. I need to know where I'm going from the start, so kind of like the midpoint. I need to know where I'm like what's gonna break my characters and my readers, and I need to know my ending. I used to not need to know my ending, but I had such a hard time finishing things that I forced myself to know where it ends. I can do a lot of outline, or I can just do like a headlights type of outline, which is what I'm doing with Marina. I'm like, I maybe have like 2 to 3 episodes outlined. An outline, I will say like a paragraph is the outline, and I go from there. But I know how it's going to end, and I know the things that will break these characters. None of them.
Where I get caught is if there's a fight or a battle. I'm like good at building suspense. I can work around all the different stuff. I can add in the mystery. and then I have to wrap it up, and I'm like literally on my notes, like they figure it out and defeat the bad guy, and then the end they get together and they have a house and they both. But I'm like, somehow they fight and defeat the bad guy. I don't know how they get there.
Yeah, fights are
I don't know how they
tricky.
do that one.
You're muted. So yeah.
I know those feels. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I even have in my prequel. I want to say a bunch of like all these have paragraphs except for they confront the bad guy and defeat him. That's literally all. And then all the rest have paragraphs.
Yeah, I get it because I think I'm going towards a third or fourth fight, and I'm like, how else can I just describe punch punch kick kick?
Yeah.
I am really good at describing punch punch kick kick. I was a martial artist for 20 years. So
Oh, nice.
like combat is super fun for me. Both in real life and in fiction. I just like it. So
So you could be commissioned possibly to fix a punch punch kick kick scene.
oh yeah, for sure.
Ooh.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep that in mind when I get to the punch punch kick kick. However, I think all of mine, I have, if it's a female antagonist or female protagonist, I tend to always watch what's the movie with Celine and the guy and there's like the lycanthropes.
Underworld.
I watched that movie, and I watched Aeon Flux, and I watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and then somehow I pull together what they need to do.
I do watch fight scenes from the Underworld franchise when it is Morena fighting. When it's Ethan, I usually just pull Keanu Reeves movies, like action movies, because his comeback scenes are chef kiss, are beautiful.
That's a good one. I've never thought him. I normally go
or maybe the Jason Bourne movies.
I normally go superheroes.
Because
they're
Ethan is not a superhero. He's
no, but the reason why I did because they're mostly vampires or werewolves. So if you think about the fact that they can move faster or move stronger than human, and a lot of superheroes, that's what they do. Yeah. So that's why I do. I figure like I'll look at like say something like how Man of Steel would move, but then think about like what if you could do that but you can't float.
Right.
So that's kind of how I tend to look at the superhero kind of thing and try to come up with it. But I never thought of Keanu Reeves because now I'm thinking Matrix, and that would be an interesting one too.
Yeah, I like the Matrix as one, just because their movements, especially if you have a human that can maybe bend or move a little bit more, but not quite like a superhero or like something that's magic, but can move a little bit more than normal. Like some of those movies really cool.
That's why I watch like more like assassins or spy movies where there's more like hand-to-hand combat when my character is a human. Now if my character is non-human, then I will watch a bunch of different things. As for Carrie's comment about the like boom chicka bow wow scenes, maybe focusing on the emotions and like sounds and touch instead of just the mechanics of it.
Yes, for sure.
Because I mean,
I go into the mechanics, but there is a lot of
and in real life, sometimes we tangle ourselves and it's just a funny moment and you laugh it off and keep going on. But it's harder to translate that on a book. It's easier if you just concentrate on the emotions that they feel, like any like whimpers, groans, their skin crawling, things like that. shivers, all those.
Also,
sorts of
keep in
fun
mind what their experience level is.
Yeah.
Because someone who doesn't have as much experience probably isn't going to say things or do things the same way that someone who, you know, not necessarily is like porn star, but, you know, is like comfortable in their skin and in their body and their sexuality, how they're going to, you know, respond to things.
Do
I mean,
not
write a
worry
purple
about
and then
purple
fix it.
prose when it comes to
No.
sex scenes.
Yeah. I mean, if it makes the sex scene beautiful, a lot of romance readers will enjoy it because it turns something that it's look like it's frowned upon in society into something beautiful, and that's something a lot of romance readers search for.
I have to agree. Colin Clark thinks my sexy scenes are classy. I'm not sure about that, but they are fun to write. So, I thought they were well done. Like, it's not crass. You know what I mean? Like, her vocabulary isn't crass. So,
And also, you know, consider that for the most part, women are the ones that read romance and, you know, smexy scenes. So women tend to be more mentally stimulated.
Aroused,
Yeah. And so you can get away with some type of purple prose if you make it work in the scene, because they'll be like, ooh, he's so sweet.
yeah.
They're so loving.
Yeah.
Hi, Gwenna.
Hey, Gwenna. We will release you these two ladies very soon.
I'm supposed to be on Gwenna's stream.
Yeah, in a couple of minutes.
Oh, in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Okay,
I didn't
well.
realize it was that late.
All right. Well, do we want to do outros so that you guys can like do something silly, like use the restroom or grab something to eat before we're
getting into another stream? Yeah, you've been very busy today. You're the most wanted this Friday day.
We're happy.
Well, who knew
It's
I was going to
Nano.
stream for 4 hours?
Yeah. But it's still such an interesting topic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a good
Absolutely.
topic. So
Yeah. Okay, so Tiff.
I am Tiffany, PRS Lifestyle on all the interwebs. Thank you for having me on. I will stream with you anytime. This was lots of fun. You know, we've talked Vella. I do have a Kindle Vella called Come Find Her. Go check it out. There are 16 episodes up. It does start off with a kidnapping, but most of my stories have kidnappings in it, so what are you going to do? I have a Ko-fi page. You can always go support me. This is my birthday month, so I like gifts. And I have a YouTube channel where we stream on Thursdays, PJs and Scribbles, sometimes with these lovely ladies. You are more than welcome to join us, Doctor. And we, you know, hang out and have fun and laugh a lot. And sometimes go into after dark hours and talk about things that maybe we shouldn't.
We get
never
spicy.
know what you're gonna get.
We get a lot spicy.
I am Nia the Vixen of Fiction. You can find me here on YouTube. I stream at 7 p.m. on Tuesday nights. So come and join us. I will be doing my book club on the 13th. We'll be doing Little Women at 2 p.m. So you can come join us for that. And we're doing an AuthorTubers Friendsgiving on the 26th at 7 p.m. So come hang out with us. We'll have fun. If you want to come up on screen, we're going to bring your leftovers. We're also going to do like a smash and pass on your favorite characters and your favorite villains. So if you want to come on screen and tell us about your favorite villain and why you love them and why we should totally want to smash them and not pass on them, you can tell us all about them. And we're just going to have some fun and hang out. So come join us. It'll be a good time. And yeah, I'm writing a Vella and I'm writing several other things. These are just a few of my projects, my art projects, my commissions, my Vella, my fantasy novel, my sci-fi comic project. Yeah, this is just
Everything.
what I'm allowing myself to work on, and shiny new things are constantly popping up. So come join me on the journey.
Hi, I'm Esther Maria Andujar, Puerto Rican writer, aspiring to be a hybrid author. I do have a Kindle Vella called Marina the Vampire. I put my Vella and Tiffany's Vella on the chat so you can have an easy access. If you are outside of the US market, I do have it on Coffee and Patreon. Probably you can find the link, I'm pretty sure, on my YouTube, any of my videos, or through my Instagram. And that's it. That's the thing that I do. Oh, if you're wondering what I'm working on NaNoWriMo, if you heard me talking about the Hallmark project, that's what I'm working.
Oh, and I do have a copy. I don't know if we're linked, but I do have a copy. But if someone can put that in the chat, whoever
I can
someone
find it.
can you put that in the chat? That'd be
Yes,
awesome.
ma'am.
Howdy,
Super.
neighbors. I'm Sako Tumi, also known as Cass Voit. I write horror, and I'm a witch, and I'm a graphic artist, graphic designer. Yeah, that thing. And sometimes I combine those three things. If you are interested in videos that pertain to marketing for authors, I am working on a course, and I also have a playlist of author tubers who have something to say on the topic. You should drop by sometime. I would love to see you. And if you liked this video at any point, I encourage you to hit the like button. And if you would like to see more chats like this one, then you might want to subscribe and maybe even ring that bell on the off chance that YouTube actually notifies you when we go live. And we will catch you guys on the flip side.